Previously, in the Age of Ashes, the heroes pushed deep into the quarry, bringing sword and spell against us, but fought more resistance than they expected.
To an enormous campfire with a group of what are clearly giants, with an alchemical golem stood at the ready.
Oh look, it's another Rakshasa. Who
It's
would've
another
possibly thought?
Rakshasa!
This is my surprised face.
Roll initiative. I'm so sorry.
Is it another one?
You hear whirring and mechanical clanking as you see another of the massive mechanical demons from the tower stood between the two of you.
In the end, they would bear down on Vayris, but she would not give up so easily.
I clawed my way to this position. Har! They don't want anything to do with me. Treacle still never listens. I fought for everything I have. Har! I won't stop here.
It's going to be 50 points of mixed piercing and fire damage.
I drop.
And with 20 points of damage, is going to take Valia down. 34 points of piercing damage.
And with that, Marshall collapses.
58.
I have 15 health left. I did most of that damage to myself.
Fair enough. Another pair of arrows loosing.
But not a crit.
Not a crit.
Was
And
it not a crit? 45 wasn't a
Oh,
crit?
45 was totally a crit,
I
yes.
was like, was it really 45? Doesn't crit?
yeah,
What
no,
the
no,
hell
sorry.
happened?
Totally a crit.
What happens?
You see her body enveloped, shooting from her chest up, from her eye, from her right eye over the rest of her face in black marks, as it just seems to burn itself and sear into her body as the last of her breath just still. This overwhelming smell of grave dirt lingers in the room.
So, as we left off last week, we were victorious. We did defeat Vayris, the commander of the Scarlet Triad forces who had been here running everything throughout Ravenel, the cause of every problem we've encountered since we came through Dreamgate. But while Roshin dealt that final blow, only half of you were still standing. And Roshin, only by this most powerful curse of Milani, to just refuse death. Roshin, Trishik, and back towards the entryway to the tunnel, Resme. The only one still left up. As the sound of battle ends, Vayris, Marshall, Valia, Eleonora, all scattered across the chamber.
Is there anyone left who has not been stabilized?
I think we've done all we can for everyone who's here.
And as you check around Trishik, saying that there, are you trained in medicine at all?
Not at all.
Well, I mean, you can still probably, I'm sure you could tell if somebody is
Breathing.
Breathing. You run around and check. I mean, even if you cared about Vayris, Roshin pretty handily beheaded her. Unless she
No.
was something far more than she looks like she is.
If she was still
certainly
breathing,
dead.
there would be a
You'd have
finish.
Several problems.
Yeah.
Marshall, though gravely injured from several of her arrows sticking out of him and the damage he'd taken from the golems, he is alive, if only just. Valia, as well, on the ground, definitely knocked unconscious and
I saw
laying
that
in this,
got stabilized.
yeah,
by
this mixed
magic.
pool of realm blood. You saw Roshin use her magic there. Eleonora. Well, not that you're entirely sure what Eleonora is or if she was even entirely alive to begin with, but you have no sign of anything from her. No breath, no heartbeat, no pulse.
I believe we have come out victorious at the cost. I do not believe Lenora is still with us.
That's me.
What happened? What? No. This is not happening again. No.
A life in the line of duty is not uncommon.
But
As unfortunate as it may be.
But she was up. I saw her, and last time I looked back, she was fine.
It wasn't that fine. Took a hit and my magic doesn't work on her. There's nothing I could do.
But we should be able to save her, right?
Listen.
Like,
I know
Marshall's
stuff.
still prone on the ground, just starting to come to.
Listen, Les.
what's the point? What's the point if we can't save our friends?
You can't save everyone. I'm sorry, Lassie.
Was there a potion on Eleonora that I could use to get him back up standing?
I think she quaffed them all.
Yeah, she'd used the
She
last
drank
of them.
everything
If there was a
she
potion
had.
on Eleonora, I could have used it to get her back
Turtle
up.
Cheek. Dig in my bag and grab me a potato. I need one stat.
This isn't happening, right? Like, it's a dream. Like, we're in one of your dreams again, right?
You've never been in one of my dreams.
Book, I have a book. Give me a minute. Resume goes into her bag and starts digging through it, and she's actually tossing really an unlikely amount of stuff on the floor. Stuff you didn't even know she had. There's dresses and makeup and herbs and what looks like some of Severin's food that he put in there.
An impressively packed bag.
And then she pulls out a book, and you would recognize it probably as one of the books from the Hag's Lair.
You still have that lying around, do you?
Flip. Yeah. Here it is. They were trying to bring her back. They were trying to bring her back using a ritual of resurrection.
A hag. Right, you mentioned it. They didn't pull it off though.
No, but we can. We're more powerful than they are, right?
I won't recommend it.
Do we have time to do that right now? There are still people here.
Well,
We need to get out.
Can we? Okay. Can we make it so that she doesn't, break down?
a moment. I can have this. Rest, and she'll put her hand out, and gentle repose will envelop Eleonora. Sort of, I don't know, her face kind of turned all black. I'm not sure what would happen there, but it's not a positive healing effect. It just necromancy.
prevents you from decomposing mostly.
Yeah.
Like preserves the state of your body.
You
so.
do see the blackness kind of recede a little bit at the touch.
Okay.
It's gonna be okay.
Seems to be working.
We're gonna bring her back. It's gonna be okay. This is just temporary. It's just temporary, Sav. Okay, so step number 1. Oh. Thanks, I needed that. I'm sorry I threw your food out of my bag.
It's all my food. All of it.
Back away from the potatoes, bird.
He can't sleep forever.
Turtle Shake, help me kill the bird.
I guess we should go save the people. She said they had slaves, right? We should go rescue them. That was the point. That was why we did this.
For now.
Marshall still is not strong enough to even move beyond kind of inching his mouth towards a potato. And Valia doesn't show any signs of consciousness at all.
He's out cold.
I think we'd best hunker down until we can at least get mobile again.
Okay.
Do what you have to do and I'll guard the entrance.
I'm really bleeding a lot now that I think about it. Like, wow, everything hurts.
It's been had quite a time. We'd best.
Oh. Let me.
It's gonna take more than just a few minutes to feel better after this.
Oh.
So the three of you that are up, what are you doing?
I'm quite literally going to go guard the entrance.
All right, Trishik's gonna watch and just make sure you're leaving Rasheen and Resme back on his charnel house.
I'll go and pull Marshall kind of away from the pile of dead and kind of haul him over towards the entrance so he can at least rest a bit more comfortably, put my pack under his head. And I'll do the same with Valia, who probably isn't coming around yet. Eleonora, she'll move her off and kind of put her to the side, kind of wrap her in her cloak. And I guess...
Resme is gonna go over there and put her head in her lap.
Pat your shoulder. And then Vayris, yes.
Don't bring her anywhere near her.
Of course not. She can rot here.
And she's still way back in the far corner where she'd fallen. At least 2 pieces.
Let's see if she has anything useful. Perhaps it can speed the process. And just look through Vayris' stuff and just see what she has on her.
Looking across Vayris, obviously she bore some pretty powerful weaponry. It's no amount of skill that is, or at least not skill alone, that's going to make her bow as vicious as it was. But as far as things that would be useful to you at the moment, she didn't seem to have much on her other than her kit for battle. She had prepared herself as well as she could and donned up in the Scarlet Triad insignia and blazoned armor with her longbow and scimitar at her hip. And a trio of the sets of spiked manacles that basically every Triad member you've met has worn. She doesn't have any kinds of potions, no coin purse, no personal effects on her whatsoever. You met her as a soldier on the battlefield.
There's nothing here. Nothing useful. They have to have a stash here. We haven't even found nearly enough supplies to keep all of these slaves fed. They have to have a stash somewhere around here. Oh, there's those archers too that are around.
Resme is really not answering or responding to much of anything you're saying. She seems to be singing. It's in a language that you can't understand.
Almost
but you
assuredly cannot understand it.
But you may be able to recognize it as Elvish. It's quiet. Anyone who can't understand Elvish, she appears to be singing her a lullaby.
Give her some space. Trishik, there's nothing here. I don't know if you want to risk trying to look for supplies or if you want to just hunker down.
On Vayris, but up near the entrance to the door, probably not far from where Trishik would be standing watch, there was, like around the outside of that chamber with the strange...
manger thing.
Almost, yeah. I was also going to call it that, but I was questioning if that was accurate. There was that writing desk, a pretty large study desk, set up in the corner at the base of the stairs, just barely inside this chamber. That has a lot of stuff on it.
Well, that's worth checking out then.
And there would be just a massive pile of, this would seem to be most of Vayris' personal things. Not only are there piles of folded letters and envelopes that have been received in clearly organizing many of the Triad operations throughout the region. There are much of her personal notes, as well as several strange bits of personal effects and small sacks and pouches full of things. Nothing that is immediately going to help you heal your friends here, but definitely some things that are absolutely valuable. And one of which stands out to you as looking very unique. It's the only thing that seems like it's really been shown true care. A lot of these papers are just kind of shuffled around, haphazardly stacked in different corners of the desk, literally shoved out of the way. But this is perched up on a shelf at the back of the desk in a corner on a red velvet cushion. It is a huge, fist-sized sapphire. Very, very dark blue. And looking at it as the light catches it, refracting through what looks to the naked eye like a nearly smooth surface, the light refracts into a 12-rayed star against this almost black sapphire. It's so deep.
Read aura?
Read aura would turn back that it is absolutely magical, incredibly powerfully so, and giving off a radiant yellow glow of divination magic.
I'm going to pull a. I'll pull a spare, I guess, like a handkerchief, or Roisin doesn't carry handkerchiefs. I'm deluding myself. Like a blanket out of her pack, and she's gonna cover it.
There are plenty of little bits of paper and cloth across this desk you could use for that perfectly fine as well.
That'll work. Yeah, I'll do that.
And alongside that, picking through it quickly, there's a small leather satchel, again just kind of carelessly tossed towards the back, that it seems to be stuffed full of much smaller but well-cut gems, more reasonably sized, finely faceted rubies, 5 of them. She also has perched up on the desk, kind of not too far from the giant sapphire, what looks like a small totem, a carving of a hyena, perched up, sitting almost upright, its front paws almost in line with its back paws, maybe 1.5 inches across and 3-4 inches wide, which is excellently carved out of a pretty light, almost whitish wood. Looks almost like an oversized chess piece of some kind. And that is set with a ring kind of looped down over its head, hanging comically large around it, emblazoned on the front with the symbol of the triad and red streaks running out around to almost meet at the backside of the ring.
And the ring looks like a separate part.
The ring's a separate. Yeah, the rings just kind of sit there. It's like hung off this little tiny totem.
Gotcha. Huh. Okay. So many things. All puzzle pieces that we'd likely been searching for this entire time. We'll find out the truth of it later, eh, Trushik?
It is perhaps best we put all the way in bag for now.
Very well, very well.
We have one hallway. There's nothing behind us, as far as I'm aware. Perhaps maybe only archers are left.
I wonder if they're interested in pursuing a new life, or if they'd like to go ahead and join the rest of their companions.
Sheeny,
Yes, dear.
I don't think we should kill the archers. I think we've left quite a trail of destruction in our wake, and I think that till now, I doubt the Triad has any idea what's happened to any of their people, or, well, any idea of any of it, really.
Just so.
But
We've been very thorough.
It's not time to be slacking in thoroughness.
I'm done with that. I want them to know precisely who we are. And I want them to know what they've done, and that we're coming for them, and that the deaths we've left behind us are nothing compared to what we're going to wreak on them in the future.
Milani taking a hold of your head, dear.
I am tired of watching my friends get hurt and die for these monsters. Tired of it. I think it's time for them to know what's coming for them. I want them to be afraid, like we are.
Take the whole operation apart, eh?
I wanted it before, but now I'm certain. We're not gonna stop. we're not going to stop till we wipe them out. All of them.
Yes, welcome to my mission.
You sound like me when I was your age.
If they can do this to good people, then they can do it to anyone. And we can't let it stand. There's no one else to help them. No one. No one cares about them. We have to be the ones to care.
They've kept a low profile. No one strong enough to deal with them knows about them.
We're strong enough.
We know about them.
We were barely strong enough this time. We'll need allies. We want to fight an open war. We'll need allies.
We have allies. We just haven't leveraged them yet.
What's the Council of Breachill?
No, we have the Bellflower Network, and we have the Hell Knights, and we've made a lot of friends. I mean, granted, we didn't know what to do with the friends when we met them or when we made them, but they could be allies, powerful ones. And if we gave them an idea of what they were really up against, that it's not just isolated incidents, maybe they could point us in the right direction or provide resources that we didn't know we had.
Well, I think you might be getting ahead of yourself here. I think that I'm gonna look out over the quarry at the dozens and dozens of captives in
So you're making your way back out around to...
I guess it's not really a cinematic look out a window thing, isn't it? I have to literally walk down a whole
Yeah,
hallway
it's
to
down
do
like
that.
a hall. There's
All right,
not
never
an
mind.
easy view out from here.
Considering the
contemplating the
dozens.
window that looks out
Dozens.
over the
I
dozens
mean,
of...
that would have been where I was, so if you were coming out far enough to talk to me, you could
Well,
look
I
out.
would have walked back to talk to Resume instead of just shouting this conversation down the hallway. But
Were you going all the way out to the intersection?
Yes.
If you're going all the way to the intersection, then as you arrive there...
I'm guarding the way in.
Yeah,
I'm giving
so all
them
the way
plenty
back
of
where the
warning.
Rakshasa was.
Yes.
Then as you arrived out there, you actually would see a pair of archers dressed very differently from the traditional Scarlet Triad blue. In fact, in almost red, and almost a striking blue set of leather armor, pretty tightly clad around their bodies. That's clearly not of traditional human craftsmanship.
You might say elvish.
Elvish, perhaps. The two of them are waiting, and not with bows drawn, arrows pointed, but at the ready, arrows knocked, back towards the hallway that leads down to where you'd met all the giants, that winds its way back around out of the quarry. The two of them would be, I imagine, doing much of what you're doing, keeping themselves somewhat out of view, but not hidden, and watching up towards the intersection. And you, sneaky little lad that you are, because they're not really like hiding. You would certainly see them before they had drawn any notice of you.
I wouldn't bother trying to interact with them and just come back more towards the middle hallway and guard there. So everything would have just gone the way that it had.
Well, I'm thinking, with all those captives out there, it might just move and shake enough that perhaps we actually might be able to find some allies that wouldn't have listened to us before.
Yes. We can't do much for Ella aside from do what we can to bring her back, but we have a duty to those people.
We'll get them home, and we'll make sure their story's told, and we'll make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Not by these people.
And incidentally, I really do think that we should come up with some sort of program to help them get back to their normal lives or something. It seems unfair. We don't even know where they come from.
Well, I imagine we could ask them. I imagine they'd tell us.
But what I mean is, will they be able to get home? They don't have anything.
Alright, well, we don't know what's here, but we can't just turn them out of the slave pit and say, you're free to go.
No, that's
Don't
what
worry.
I mean.
No. We'll take them home. We'll make sure that happens.
Okay, everyone should get a chance to go home.
And believe you me, Resume. You want to stack these bodies like cordwood. I'll help you put the Triad down. But it's a dark road, and it doesn't always lead to where you think it does. I've walked it before.
Well,
We do have a bit of an immediate decision to make.
Huh?
The ones that shot at us earlier in the quarry, they're around the corner. It appears they were down hallway.
I think we should go introduce ourselves.
Oh, I think perhaps a bit of a pirate approach might be appropriate here.
So,
I'm gonna
yeah.
walk over and pick up Vayris' head.
Notably, Marshall is still not quite at like pulling himself up or moving yet, and Valia has shown.
If you
has
help me
not
stand, I
stirred
can walk, I
literally
swear.
at all.
Actually, Resme,
There are 3 of you.
can't you...
Can't I what? I can't do anything right now aside from ambulate, barely.
That's true. I can't... Might as well deal with them. We best not hole up here. How long has it been? Have I been able to refocus yet?
It's as you're looking through the desk and everything, I'd say it's maybe been 10 minutes. You could have a focus point back.
Oh, if I could have a focus point back, that would be great.
The sorcerer and
I
the
get 2 focus points.
oracle kind of a focus point back.
All right, Marshall.
That
come
goes
here.
from 0 magic to 2 magic-y things.
Marshall, come here. Give me a potato.
He just literally rolls because he can't really stand by himself yet, so he just kind of rolls over to you and then says, "It's in me bag."
Fine. She'll go in the bag, and she'll kind of use a little dagger to peel off the potato a
That's
little.
the best part. Don't peel off the skin.
It's
I do-
growing, Marshall.
You do it your way, and
The
I do
skin
it
until
my
you get to
way.
the center.
And then she'll take it, and she'll go, I don't
That
really
noise is
know
all that's in
how this
Marshall's head.
works. but-
Marshall's reaction to a potato being peeled is a Windows error noise.
Here. And she'll stick it in your mouth, and then
You just see his jaws just like unhinge automatically, like
Like a snake. Just...
I'll use ancestral memories,
Okay.
and
Manifest you some medicine.
and I'm gonna make an expert check.
All right, let's see it.
Pick up some lore farming.
Roll me a d20. Let's try out the thing.
So that's how you fart potatoes.
Okay, that's gonna be a 26.
26 on expert will pretty easily succeed. So he's going to get 2d8 plus 10 health back. We can roll that too.
Ooh, yeah, we can roll that too. Dice tray.
Dice
So much stuff now. I'm really sad about Eleanor's death, but we got a dice tray.
Don't worry, I'm excited about the dice tray.
Dice tray is pretty awesome.
I need a d8.
I'm concerned about rolling some of my sneak attacks in the near future.
29 d6s go tunneling through the thing.
Ooh!
Ooh, that's pretty spicy.
Nice.
Get 23 points of health back.
Functionally standing.
23. All
Was
right.
it totally legible? It looks, I mean, I'm glancing over here to see it since it's the first time we're using this, but chat, let me know. I think this is, it looked pretty legible to me over on OBS, so I hope it's all right for you guys.
All right. And with that, very awesome potato that was given to him, you just see him kind of like perk up a little bit, go, use his hammer to help himself back up. Oh, that hits the spot.
Power of carbohydrates.
That is so uncanny.
Oh, pulls an arrow out.
Oh,
Breaks it in half.
oh, that's
Every time one of you
Gross.
describes pulling an arrow straight out, I get very concerned.
I do too.
Also, Marshall doesn't care.
it's
You pull it out, a spurt of blood follows it.
It's okay. I got the magic.
Do you right now, though?
Rips chunks out with it.
They are specifically engineered to not do that cleanly. It's got bottom hooky bits.
Marshall, you should be able to move now, I should think.
Thank you.
Come
No, he
along.
certainly doesn't look good, but
I'm
Here.
kind of using my hammer to help me.
a level of up.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, my left ear won't stop ringing.
Oh, that may have been my fault.
Yes, we should talk about Rectangle a bit. Had
Sorry.
you never considered the possibility that concussion was a thing?
I mean, I thought that was part of the goal, but not towards my friends.
I do understand it to be the entire point of the thing.
I don't know if concussing our enemies is the answer, but
It seems to work particularly well in this go-through.
Well, to be fair, in combat, if you disorient them, even with a simple clap, that can knock them off balance.
ow! Just not go over the fact that my ear is ringing. Oh, everything hurts. Oh,
Marshall was trying not to
Sheeny.
chuckle even harder.
Sheeny.
Yes, dear, what you doing?
Oh, let's go find the men and scare them into doing what we want.
Right, very well.
I love that Resma has simultaneously become the inexorable spirit of murdering vengeance, and also, Mom, help!
After the
My
same
ear
guy.
hurt.
Mom, my ear hurts, but I want to kill everybody.
Welcome to 20-year-old sorcerers. Everybody.
Peak.
Peak.
We considered a more mature caster.
Nah,
She'll
So-
get there eventually.
she has to be a magical girl.
She's basically an elven teenager.
I'm a
As
teenager. It's okay.
The group of you, the four of you, leaving Eleanor and Valia behind for now is, well, at the moment there is not a ton you can do for either of them, really. Make your way back past the manger to where you had battled the Rakshasa, whose body lay slumped against the new, wonderfully melted wall of stone that bisects this chamber. And just was leading this, I imagine. Your shield got obliterated, so you don't have a shield up.
It's actually only badly damaged, but certainly I can't use it.
not
So-
obliterated.
Not
You can hold it in
obliterated.
front of you, like it still looks kind of.
Well, I need a
intimidating.
hand to hold the head, so
That's fair.
I think
I'll
Trish-
take the lead because I'm unharmed.
yeah, it works.
But as you,
That seems
Are you
fine.
seriously unharmed?
Yes.
Yeah.
the only thing that happened to him was he almost turned into a statue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nothing actually like hit him.
nice. All right.
I had to heal after.
You got eclipse bursted, but I think that was like the last.
No, the Rakshasa.
Well, the Rakshasa touched you, right? He touched you a little bit.
Monkey hand.
He almost got
Monkey
totally
hand.
eclipsed of the hearted.
But as you come around this corner here, you would hear a voice ring out, "Ho there! Wouldn't come any closer unless you want to see how fast we can fire these arrows."
We've already seen how fast you can fire your arrows. You're very impressive.
Oh, and that was from a few hundred yards. It's much easier this close. And
Do
you
you-
can see two of the up close, the same thing I described to Sheik earlier. Two of these archers. They look almost like identical, almost like two clones of the same elf.
Those are
sitting there.
impossibly tight blue
Perch.
leotards.
No. Do you know what a leotard is?
That's not a leotard.
It looks.
That's like a cat suit.
It's
You
like
could
a
call that
body
Like a cat. I can give it a cat suit.
Yeah, you call it a cat suit.
It's definitely not a leotard.
Yeah.
Not what a leotard is.
Is it anatomically correct?
I mean, it has
But-
the sufficient legs.
Why do you
and
think the
arms.
art has him posed with one leg up like that?
Whoa.
Family friendly channel.
That's it.
Got it.
So, one of them up, standing near the other way, standing near the passageway leading to where the giants were. The other one kneeled down. Both of them with their bows planted. The standing one, they have these huge long bows. The arm of it planted on the ground as he has the string drawn, leaning down a little bit, not quite to like dial in the shot, but to aim it a bit. And the one on the ground with the bow almost at an angle, the foot of it set against the corner of the bottom of the chamber. And the second one speaks up. Really did it then.
Yes, I believe we have a gift for you, Roshin.
This one, and roll Vayris' head out in front of them.
His eyes glanced to it for a moment before it flicked back up to the party.
I do believe you may be unemployed at the moment. Care to die on your dead employer's old orders?
Group, you look like you're barely in a state to walk. Not just to fight any further.
Do you want to try us?
Rather we didn't.
That's
Wisest
wise.
members in this entire quarry.
I cannot tell you how many men have been offered a chance to stand down, refused, and swiftly died.
Well, as you said, seems to find ourselves a wee bit unemployed here. The Vayris is gone. If you've done everything that's been said of you, I assume Master of Varashma is as well. There's not much left for us here in the whole country.
The whole country, I say.
Well,
You're actually pretty good with those bows, aren't you?
you seem to have found a new chance of employment, so to speak.
We were a Scarlet Triad, more Scarlet Trials, you'd say. The coin was good, flowed plentiful as long as we helped him out. So we lent him our arrows. But at this point, it seems rather silly to be dying for him, doesn't it? Doesn't look like he'll be paying us much anymore, is it?
You know, you've actually you fit right in with a group of sailors we knew once who felt very similar to that. They turned out to be decent sort, just
Right.
trying to work their way around the world.
Problem with hiring mercenaries. Loyalty's bought with coin. As soon as one stops, so does the other.
What's your rate?
More than you can afford, I'm sure.
Oh, so we just took over this entire operation. They were rich enough to pay you.
I'm no fool enough to cross the Triad.
Ah,
See
fair
what you've
enough.
done with Vayris here, but he was hot-headed.
Who was it that?
Honestly, it was rather angling to work our way up the chain. Circumvent her, as the case may be. We still need to do that yet still.
Ah, well, you're welcome then. But you stay with the Triad, and we keep going. We'll run into you eventually, and we might not be able to kill your boss before we have to deal with you.
Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. And he, the one on the ground, looks up to his brother and kind of slacks the line a little bit. And he glances down briefly and looks back up, still keeping his taut. Well then. If we're amicable to discuss this like gentleman and lady, as he nods to resume.
Hey.
Honestly, as gore splattered as you are and covered in full plate, it's probably not even immediately apparent. Like,
That's fair.
you look like a blood demon, probably.
That's fair, actually.
You just decapitated a Null point blank. You just look like a swamp monster. But, be taking our leave then.
Wait,
There's one thing you can do if you're actually going to be going back to the Triad.
we have a message for them.
If I want to tell the tale. Could be good angle for us, possibly. Or at least a good story at a tavern. Fine.
You can tell them that we don't know what their game is or what their overall plan is, but we killed everyone in Mwangi. We killed the ones they sent to Breach Hill. We have wiped them out to a man in Cantargo. And wherever they move next, wherever they go, whoever they hire, they have two choices. They can stop what they're doing. They can run as far as they think they can across Galarian and attempt to hide. Or they can stay where they are, which is actually what we'd prefer.
We'll make finding them much simpler.
We'll stack their bodies like cordwood.
Standard of the vengeance, is it?
I
Fair
imagine
enough.
you've gotten it before, but I think we could actually pull it off.
I do notice you're quite a few bodies shorter than we saw down the quarry. Fine. Give us an hour. Let us make our way from here. And if you see us again, well, he kind of raises the arrow up, angling the point towards you. You won't be seeing us again.
Do you have names?
Not that we'd give you.
Do you have fake ones you'd like to give me?
And he doesn't even acknowledge that as he stands and turns and makes his way, dipping back behind his brother into the hallway. His brother's still with the draw, watches, lets him move a couple feet, and then looses his draw and angles back towards the tunnel as well.
We will be going to deal with slaves.
Can I get a society check now that we've spoken to them? I've seen the way they're dressed, their accent, something that might tell me what their origin is or where they come from.
Okay, sure.
I just know they're elves.
They are in fact elves. Yeah, give me a society roll.
You're half elf. He likes you.
Sure, that's the better half. It's gonna be a 29.
With a 29, you can tell that obviously the armor and the weapons they wield are pretty fine. And while the Triad does seem to be very well supplied, again, this is quite different from most of what the Triad are wielding. They tend to lean towards much bulkier armor. Even the enforcers that you've fought so far, their linemen who are wearing leathers, are wearing layers upon layers of massive enameled pauldrons and huge chest plates. But theirs is near to nothing. However, while it's clearly of elven make and fashion, it's plain enough were it not for the almost outlandish coloration. It's fairly simplistic, bearing no symbols of heraldry from any major elven clans or families or even homelands, really.
It's almost like they're doing illicit business.
It's almost like they're doing illicit business and they're walking around with a name tag like, "Hi, my name is Steve.
I'm from Keonan,
Yeah, I'm from Keonan.
the land of thieves and murderers.
House mercenary guy. I work for... My dad's Steve Elf.
Steve elf.
He runs the elves.
Runs all the elves.
All the elves.
Oh,
How about their accent?
Their accent is largely almost a wash. It's certainly not from Ravenel. It's not Shellish. It's not from the region. It sounds like it's something far more eastern. Something from all the way out north of Taldor, perhaps, maybe River Kingdoms, past or even somewhere around Galt, but maybe up more north to the somewhat lawless wasteland that is the River Kingdoms. Even more lawless than Galt.
So you and I would more likely recognize it than you would.
And you would know with that society check that's very likely because the River Kingdoms and Daggermark, one of the only real settlements up there in the northeast of Avistan. I learned that is the name of the continent recently, so I don't have to keep saying the Inner Sea region. It is Avistan is what it's called. That is the, in a lot of ways, unironic, wretched hive of scum and villainy. It's
What's it called?
It's literally called Daggermark.
Daggermark. Wow, okay.
The River Kingdoms and Bravoy and that whole area is constant houses rising and falling out of power, territories constantly conquering and ceding lands, expanding borders. That's why the whole area is just called the River Kingdoms, because there are not consistent enough national borders to bother making a map of them.
Nice.
Because these things rise and fall 3 times a generation. And along with that comes pretty good demand and pay for skilled mercenaries, assassins. All kinds are welcome if there is pay.
If you're going back to Daggermark, give them my love.
I don't.
Pull that out of you. Right.
What, if you can't be a smartass, what's the point of living?
I haven't found one, actually. So, yes, fair enough. Good
Gold
enough.
is a very good motivator.
Well, that's also a very good point, actually.
Vengeance.
You should follow those guys.
Yeah.
But as they retreat, then we can ask for an hour to clear the area. You still have, at the very least, Valia unconscious, who you certainly could do something for. And you've got time. So, as they retreat, what are the 4 of you doing?
I'm gonna go start working on getting the pins opened.
And,
In the middle of the quarry?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to, I guess I could come with him, actually. I'll help him with that.
So if you're going to go down there, you would have to either scrabble down the stone face of the opening in that alchemical area, which is like 20 feet above the floor. Kind of tough, or, follow directly after the Elven twins.
I mean, I have a rope.
You have, I guess, yeah, you
I've
can
got a
set up
rope and a
ropes
climbing
stuff.
kit.
Yeah, you got
I
plenty
can-
of places to
you can
anchor
get
it
down
too.
there.
I'm
Up
go-
is the hard part. Down's not
I
the
am
challenging.
literally going to jump and cast Featherfall on myself. Because I still have charges in my rod.
So you hop down, float to the ground, and making your way.
I thought you were going to go with Valia.
I can't do anything with Valia. You're the medicine
Yeah,
boy.
the only person who can do
The only
anything for
person who
Valia.
can
I
do
sit
anything
there
for
and-
Valia is him.
Just, I guess, attempt to shove a potato in Valia's mouth
I
while
used my
eating one
focus
myself.
All right, give me a medicine check.
For Valia. That is going to be a 22.
22. You just trained, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm just
critically
trained.
succeeds. She gets 48. And you're not going to be able to tend to yourself for an hour because you can only get treated by medicine once an hour, and Resume woke you up.
Oh, that makes sense.
So 4d8 health to Valia.
Okay.
And as she wakes up on the ground, again having a frickin' potato shoved down her throat. This time, she seems a little too injured, too weakened, perhaps, to resist properly.
So Valia gets 14 health back. You alright, Lassie? I help her up and sit her up
If
straight.
you're gonna help her up, she just puts a hand up for a moment.
Could you imagine being woken up to smelling salts in the form of starch?
And then just kind of puts a hand up and looks over. So it went better than last time, then.
Wakes up next to a dead body.
She doesn't know. She doesn't appear to have noticed that immediately.
We pulled her away from it.
Yeah, you didn't lay her next to a corpse.
It's just you and her right now.
Yeah, it's just Marshall
also a
and,
corpse.
and
So-
Valia.
Not next to it.
Let's set you up right. Come on now.
Oh, I don't know if that's quite in my best interest yet.
Ah,
It's all right. I tear off a piece of cloth from one of the random bits just laying around, and
If you're shoving damned potatoes in my mouth, then I assume that we're all right enough for now.
for now.
Oh, by Abadar. What have I gotten myself into?
Well, do you want me to give you a rundown or?
Trust me, I've known this resume longer than you have, I think. I understand how absolutely bullheaded her and whoever she seems to come into contact with are, and now it includes me.
Oh, you're one of us now.
One of us.
One of us. One of us.
anyway.
Thank you, Marshall, for your assistance. Where is everyone else?
Oh, they went to go on ahead and try and investigate, and we met a couple of the elves in these skin-tight blue leather armor things that they got going on, threatening us with bows. And
What's the point of skin-tight armor? How is that going to protect you?
I don't know. See, somebody understands.
It's just body paint.
That's why the leg was up like that.
How?
Well, the good news is they're gone. They were working for Vayris and everybody else, but since we killed them,
And she's still just laying head on the pouch the resume had put behind her. She hasn't really, is just looking up at you, but hasn't moved much other than just a little bit of her own hand, which she now has placed underneath one of the arrows embedded pretty centrally in her chest that she's just kind of tenderly cradling. Well, that's it then. If we're here, then that's Vayris taken care of. You did it?
oh yeah,
Is that the Scarlet Triad dealt with?
Yep.
Slavery's cancelled.
slavery is canceled.
Oh, fantastic. Can you do me a favor, Marshall?
What's
Can
up?
you fetch the lizard for me?
Oh, Tertiary? Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I, for some reason, draw such a blank on that name. Don't tell him.
So I just walk off and I just start screaming.
Hey, boss! Boss! Val's awake!
Down here. While that's happening, while he's spending 10 minutes getting her up, you sort of...
Sorry, the lizard got me. Bring me the lizard.
I'm probably hanging like upside down from the bars across, like cutting them open and stuff, and I can just hear that.
And it just comes down
You
like
guys
in
have
front of
made
me.
your way down there to these massive holding pits they have in the quarry. You can see that a small amount of, I guess, what could be considered personal effects for Swolseps, the friendly giant, which
Boulders.
largely is just a stack of pretty large boulders varying from a rather large shot put to bigger around than your torso, and probably weighing easily more than Marshall when he's enlarged. Some of which have been shaped as a large chunk. I am remiss to say log, because a log implies that it was like cut down and at least anything was done to it. This is a chunk of a trunk that is long enough.
Just grabbed it and took it from the
Looks
tree.
like it looks like he broke it. Like, it's possible he grabbed it and just kicked the base of it and shattered the bottom of the trunk of the tree. And it's not cleaned up or anything. It still has like jagged bits of broken wood and one long strap of bark on one end where it was ripped free. Around in the northwestern corner, the furthest from the entryway. But the pits are covered with these huge interwoven wooden beams. It's not locked or anything. They are just exceptionally heavy. The pits themselves are about 15 feet deep, actually going pretty deep into the ground. And as you come over, at this point, it's night, I imagine, probably with the light of one of Roshin or Resme's cantrips illuminating you. You can see down to the dozens of folk that have been trapped in these pits for God knows how long. Most of them are wearing very similar, incredibly simple, cheap, like burlap clothing that it seems that the Triad just put on everybody. Some of them look better than others. Some look like they've just spent an afternoon down here. Some are slicked with sweat, emaciated, delirious. You have no idea how long they've been kept in these pits. The difficulty is not unlocking these so much as it is moving the massive lattices across the top of each pit.
Is it legit just like a 15-foot deep, like square hole in the ground, or is there like stairs or ladders or?
It is pretty much just a pit.
How do you get people down there on mat? How do you get them out? I guess you have giants.
They had giants.
I was about to say,
How do we get them out?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like a claw game.
Yeah, all of this does look like it's relatively recent. Well, the quarry clearly shows the marks of having, well, been quarried by picks and shovels. These pits look like they were just hammered into existence. They look like they were dug with giant mallets, if anything, more than actual tools. And so the edges of them are very rough and erratic. The ground far from flat, meaning that, and it's not even really even. It looks like a giant punched the ground until there was a sufficiently large hole here. And by all state of things, that's probably what happened.
How are we going to get them out?
Sure, but let's make sure they know we're on their side. Roshin's gonna cast a light spell on her Morning Star and just raise it, so there's like just a shining kind of star-shaped symbol kind of shining down, or at least illuminating them, and hold it over her head. And she's gonna see if she can actually see down there with low light vision and a 60-foot burst.
You can definitely see down. The pits are, with low light vision, the pits are together enough that you could stand between any, like at the corner of any two of them and look down to the pits and see all the faces below. From the middle of all four, you probably wouldn't be able to see actually down into the pits themselves.
Okay, well, that's fine. Roshin will kind of walk and just try to get their attention, like if they're looking up at the bright light shining down at them at the middle.
And it would be what looked like largely people from all walks of life. Humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, halflings, even some scattered lizard folk, Asimar, radlings, all kinds of things. That the only thing they all seem to share in common is that they all do look like they were very hardy folk. They all look like they were either very strong or very physically capable. There are no like librarians down here in the pits. Even the ones that look like they haven't had much to eat for quite some time. Clearly, the wear on their calloused hands and their tan skin tells to a life of labor.
All right, all of you. My name's Roshin.
I'll start translating into multiple languages.
I imagine there's enough that speaks common, but yeah, that's fine.
Over here speaking infernal.
I just imagine.
I'll have you know, I speak all of the languages, Iroxi included. Thank you.
We put pay to the Triad here. Your slavery's cancelled. In the morning, we're gonna get you out, check you over, distribute supplies, and organize taking you home. It's not safe to do it now. It's too dark. Get some rest. You'll need it. We'll be traveling. In the meantime, talk amongst yourselves. Let it be known where you're from. That way it becomes easier to get you all on your way.
We'll get you some water. Who needs water? And food.
And as you speak,
Where are we gonna get the water?
there is no...
I have water and we have
There's
rations and stuff.
no immediately like massive scale response or anything. But what you do see is a pair of little hands clasp a couple of the bars next to each other, which are 15 feet apart. So either there's a very tall gentleman down there, but these tiny fingers imply they are not that. And a little snout poke its way up between a couple of the bars.
Yes. You're here to get us out, yes?
Well, you're an eager one.
Oh, well, I've been in here for a day, and it's far too long to be in here for a whole day.
Oh.
Well, I'm certainly not gonna kick you back down in the pit if you've got the vigor to climb all the way out yourself.
Oh, thank you. What happened to the Jotun fellow, the big guy, the tall guy?
So as this creature is very quickly spewing out some excited words, what does the party see here?
Well, they see a thin, unlike the rest of the hardy folk, a very thin, lean Yosoki, little rat guy. He's about in total 4 foot. He's short. He's 4 foot, and he's very what's the word I'm looking for? High strung. Even after being in here and starving, he's like twitching around, looking. His nose is going all over the place.
It's a stressful situation.
So he looks like he has just scrambled straight up the wall.
Yes.
And is like with no real difficulty clinging up to the bars and looking up with his beady little rat eyes.
Yes.
Well, I suppose we best get you out. Your skin one, but I don't know if you can actually fit through the grid there.
No, tried.
Well, in that case, sword out, and Roshin's just gonna start mechanically hacking her way through just to make a hole big enough for the ratling to squeeze out.
Okay, fair enough. Just to be able to move enough beams that you can slide them aside and just make a larger hole here.
Man, that's great. I love that sound effect. Listen to that. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
She's just whacking away at a two-handed here.
Letting chips fly, just whack, whack, whack.
I love Sirenscape.
Yeah, it's so great.
I have the smack button now. It has so many purposes, the smack button. You would manage to make a hole large enough for this rat folk to squeeze his way up through the bars where he is met with a Severin perching up on Roshin's shoulder, curiously looking down at him.
Is that food?
No, it is not food.
Are you sure it's not food?
I don't think I'm food. Am I food?
You look like
You're not
prey.
food. Don't worry, we're getting
Okay.
out.
Well,
Look, notice
clearly
the
you'll
size.
think
It's
maybe.
much too large. It couldn't actually carry him away.
But what about that little thing sitting on his shoulder?
As Severin speaks, another little rat runs up between your legs, crawls up mine, that's on my shoulder, and it starts squeaking. Yes. Oh, you found my stuff. That's very good. Where's my stuff?
Oh, darn it.
Before we get ahead of ourselves.
I knew I smelled prey.
So granted, that does look like prey,
Right.
and in all actuality, it could very well be. But just leave it alone for now, all right?
Why can't I eat it?
Well, because it's my friend.
It's not that you can't eat it; you shouldn't.
Anyways.
There's a can't and a shouldn't thing. We'll talk about tomorrow's later.
Anyways, my name is Raz. Raz. It's nice to meet you. Who are you folk? Who are the folks who saved me? Who are the folks who saved the slaves?
I just announced my entire name to the entire Roshin. It's good to meet you.
Sorry, I was busy talking to somebody else. And then I heard you call.
You're
As you're talking, he gets very, very close, like in your space, and like stands on his tiptoes. Are you full elf? You're a full elf, right? You look like a full elf.
I'm Rosh. No, she's Roshin. I'm Razme.
And as you say, she's Roshin. He turns around, looks at Roshin. That's Star. He gets very close. Oh, two different colored eyes. Oh, that's very interesting. I haven't seen many of those. Hydrochromatic. Oh, cool.
Yes, look, we've had a very long day.
He looks over. He runs over. Ruxi. Don't see a lot of Ruxi. There's a lot of Ruxi down there, but not a lot out here. It's nice to meet you. Who are you folk?
This is fascinating. How long have you spent down there? Maybe
a day,
the Triad
2 days,
feed their
3 days,
slaves
4
much
days?
better than we think.
And Hermagistus in the chat, a hero point just for Raz.
For Raz.
Oh,
Where are my manners? You want to introduce yourself? Oh, you can introduce yourself. He holds out his hand. The little rat crawls out, and he's holding it like this. The rat stands up on his back legs, starts motioning with his hands, and Raz goes, I am King Mataz. It is a very pleasure to meet you, and my servant here shall serve you very well. I don't think I'm a servant. I don't think I'm gonna serve anyone.
Is Raz speaking for both the rat and for him?
The rat's squeaking.
The rat's just beeping.
The rat is squeaking, and Raz is translating.
You're going to
Right,
have to
you're
do.
translating. I see how it works.
You're
yes.
going to have to do a lot more convincing to convince me that that's not food.
And then
I don't really know what to tell you.
King Mataz runs, comes back with a breadcrumb and hands it up to Severin.
Oh, you're getting very close to that beak. I don't know if I can restrain him.
Severin will cautiously take the thing without eating the little rat. This is only because I think my mistress would be very upset with me if I ate a new friend.
Squeak.
Is it at that point I would be eventually arriving
Yeah, this
to
would
them?
be around when you would hear Marshall start yelling out over.
hey, boss!
Oh,
I see the rat
fantastic.
folk.
Business calls. Be right back.
I see the rat folk, obviously, and I'm like, as soon as that happens, I'm like, "Bah!" Pull out my hammer. It's a rat.
You'd be seeing that from
Yeah,
awful
you're up
far
on a
away.
ledge like 200, 300 feet.
Oh,
from
200.
this,
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the
You
middle
can
of
just
the
see like
quarry.
a light and some people, like a football field away.
Oh, my bad.
This seems rather insulting and somewhat paradoxical, but would you like some cheese and bread?
Oh, I haven't had cheese in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. 5 weeks. I'll take cheese.
Here. And I suppose your friend can have some too.
He
I
breaks
imagine
off
he
half
doesn't
of
eat
it and
much.
Hands it to the rat. Half of it.
Oh, that's so unlikely.
Rat has big cheeks.
I've seen rats eat. He could do it.
Just shove it.
See, we can get you a way better familiar than this little stuffed bird. You can get you a picking of like 4 actual rats.
They're
that
all
you can just
fat.
have. Dingus isn't fat.
Tink, tink.
We have rats here. Anyways,
He's just big boned.
He is big boned.
So, if you don't mind, we've had a rather traumatic day. If you could speak just a little bit more slowly, that would be much appreciated.
Slowly. Got it.
Immediately gone.
Raz, could you perhaps help us figure out how many people are down there?
I have an eye for numbers. Roughly how many people are in those holes?
you would guess that. I mean, you've been in one, so you didn't get to see a ton of the rest, but you got to see as you came in. You could run around and peek now. Do you have dark vision?
I have low light vision.
Low light, then you can see perfectly fine with Rashane's light here. You would guess that there's altogether 80 to 90 people between the 4 pits.
About 80, 90, give or take a few.
Around 2 dozen, little under in each.
Well, and if you minus me, it's like 79, 89, 99, 79, 69.
I don't think that's how numbers work.
It's been a long day.
So,
It's been a long day.
all right. You look like you could use some rest. Why don't you? I have
Does he?
I'm hoping I can get him to go to sleep for a little while.
You look like you can use rest. You can use some rest. Oh. I know a story. I know a song. I know a poem. He begins to rattle off a children's bedtime story in Elvish.
Oh. She'll
Does he
actually.
say it as fast as he says everything
He actually
else?
slows it down to actually be in.
Oh, he can keep a meter.
He casts Soothe on Resume.
Ooh. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
She heals for 7 points.
Oh.
Does Soothe not add any modifier or anything? Is it just flat D10?
It's D10 plus 4.
Oh, fair enough. Yep. This is first level Soothe.
Yeah.
My mother used to sing that to me.
It's very common. I found it helps calm the nerves. And you look like you can use a lot of calming. Tough day.
At that, she absolutely bursts into tears.
Oh no, that was not what I wanted.
And she'll go put her head on your shoulder.
It's been a heck of a day.
Oh, you can tell me all about it later. I'm gonna stick by your side until we're at least out of this quarry and all the way back in town somewhere safe.
It's a very wise decision you're making there. It's actually quite surprising.
It's a very-
You're just a bundle of contradictions. Here, come on, dear. Let's get you back under cover.
A very unwise decision of living here. Yes. Where's my stuff?
Resume will wipe her nose on your
Tabard.
Your tabard. Sorry.
Oh, be careful, dear. You get blood up your nose. It's not good.
It's already there.
I suppose, yes, actually, it's probably good to be if it's yours. Come along. See, you think you can make the climb back up the pluck up like the cliff face? I could walk you the long way around if you'd like.
I don't want to climb.
All right, just cling to my back.
Okay.
Rasmus just hanging out for us as he makes your way up the rope.
Just gonna Andre the Giant my way up the side.
Have you the rope there at least? So
With pythons and a climbing kit and all that.
yeah,
so.
making your way up with Resume, just piggybacking on your full plate. Jashik, if you would have went back with Marshall,
Immediately.
yeah,
I'm
the
being
two
called.
of you would have gotten back into the area of Valia, while these two were meeting the Rattling, and you'd come back to see that same area. Valia still hasn't moved, but clearly is at least conscious now. and turns out a little bit to look towards you. Sheik, can I possibly borrow you for a moment?
I do not see why not. What is it?
This is racist. I don't think it's... Well, look, I mean this... I don't mean this in any sort of a negative way. It's no slight against your proud lizard folk people or anything. It's just that of the company that we have kept coming into the quarry, you seem like the best head to ask, perhaps? Do you have any pesh?
I see.
I don't want to say that lizard folk are druggies.
Do you have any illegal substances?
I mean this in the nicest way possible, but do you have some
Look, it's
smack I could get?
It's just more that in the weeks we've been traveling together, you and, your particular background, you seem to have, well, connections, and if not, it's I apologize for asking, of course, but it's been a day.
You're so sketch.
So,
You're so sketchy and your friend hits you up for drugs.
I haven't kept my slew of recipes crafted on me. I suppose that's kind of up to you if I would have some.
I think up to you if you would have some on you.
I mean, for the purpose of my,
you know how to make it.
yeah, but for the purpose of my income, I would constantly have some of everything that I have.
My income.
What he's trying to say is,
But I don't have it on my character sheet because it's not a thing I plan on using.
Day to earn income. I'm slinging pesh.
So, backstory. I have every drug recipe in the game.
Valya, ask the right person.
She's not wrong. No.
it's Breaking Bad Reptile Edition.
Don't use any
Up
of
to
them
you
myself.
whether you would have any of it on you at the moment.
Then yes. Yes, I would have
you
some.
would.
And it would not be for free.
What are you doing?
Yes, I have
Wow.
as much as you would need the standard street price.
Are you serious?
It is my business. If you would like to pay me later, I can accept an IOU because I know you. I do not make for free.
I suppose I can respect business. All things considered, fair enough.
And I'll give her 3 doses of pesh.
And she will reach down into her coin purse.
As this is going on, I'm standing by the entranceway, kind of at guard. I'm like, hey, boss, how's it going back there?
It's going fine. She simply had questioned about the alchemy happening downstairs.
Business is booming, yes?
And she would hand you 3 gold pieces.
I thought the first one was free.
Oh, she had her first one a long time.
And she'll take it and tuck 2 of them into the coin purse into the side and put the 3rd one, like push it back just like you'd seen before, back in the tower, back in the back of her mouth, and just kind of bite down on the putty. Terrible habit, Pesh. Well, everyone seems to be fine enough, at least. Yes. Made out good.
Everyone except for Eleonora. She did not make it.
Well, I can tell you if wait. No.
As in, she is dead, yes.
I suppose, given the last bit of that battle that I remember, it does make sense. Unfortunate. Well, I didn't have much time to get to know her, but she was pleasant enough company and competent in the blade, to be certain. How's Resme?
She had a bit of a breakdown at first. It was unfortunate. It happens. It's not good to lose ally, but
Trishik, you were there, well, in Mongi, when they went against the Cinder Claws. You saw what happened there. You... Well, and I, and Resme... Maybe not Resme. You and I are the only ones that know what the Triad has taken from us. How old is she? What, 19 at best?
I think she said she was 20.
All right, it was her birthday on the way down here. It's... things like this once are scarring, and if it starts becoming standard, I worry for her.
And eventually one day she'll be like me. But in meantime, it will be good learning experience for her. It's not all fantasy and sunshine in situation like this.
It's not, but her grief and rage at what happened in the Mongi jungle is what set her on the path to come here.
And this has set her on path to continue. Gave her a motivation.
And one that I certainly share, at least to some extent. Just, if you continue to travel with her, and if you follow her this far, I imagine you will, keep an eye on her. Don't let her do anything stupid.
It's not
She's
my
young,
goal.
she's hot-headed, she's hopefully not addicted to Pesh, but still...
I do not believe anyone even knows about the substances.
I would hope
Only
not.
you and I.
I don't want to see her end up like Miss Rasheen.
It is fair. I will do my best to keep her nose both literally and figuratively clean.
You know, Trishik, I'm old enough that I've had friends find it odd I've never really grown any, motherly instincts, but watching Resme repeatedly run headlong into near immediate death repeatedly, maybe the closest I've ever come. It's like she's like a puppy. An incredibly angry, feral puppy.
Have you ever seen Child on Leash?
It's actually quite accepted around Taldor. I figure you reach a certain point in pleasant society where you realize that, well, children are just incapable of participating in pleasant society. Well, it's nannies mostly, but for those who can't afford, well, typically they don't frequent many of the same places I do, but it's commonplace among lower class. I feel like I should stop calling them peasants.
A peasant is simply a description.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not an insult unless you mean it to
Well,
be.
and I understand that, and you understand that, and it's fair enough, but I've had so many people take offense at peasantry, like it's some kind of slight against their person, like just because they're corn farmers and their parents were corn farmers, that somehow makes them less of a person. The world needs peasants. But
Who else would pay taxes?
certainly not the nobility. Anyway, just keep an eye on her.
I will certainly
This-
do my best.
Path might not be the wisest for a child to follow.
It's a tough life for a child.
Knowing Roshin and Milani, there's blood in the streets that I imagine she's dealing with the slaves. Are we clear here then? Is the quarry finally safe?
There were a couple of Elven Bull men, boys.
Right, they fired on us
hard to
earlier.
tell. They left.
Well, that makes fair enough. Well, I will be here until we're ready to leave, I suppose. I imagine it's going to be some operation, and I'm not quite feeling up to sitting up yet.
It is understandable. Just take your time and enjoy yourself. We'll be preparing to leave tomorrow.
Thank you, Trishika.
Have a good night. In the room full of blood, perhaps you find different place to lie down.
I don't even know that I have the energy to care, honestly.
Marshall,
Just don't tell anyone.
if you could come and please escort
No,
Lady.
you know what? I think I can walk myself. Oh, I'm suddenly feeling much better.
Yeah, that is a very good point. No one here is an adult. I'm almost 30. And everyone else is significantly younger than me, if I remember right.
She's like 24, 25.
It's an adult. How old's
Quite
Marshall?
adulty. Especially considering she
Marshall
was
is
fighting
definitely in
wars.
his quote-unquote mid-30s, if
Okay.
not late older,
an
but
adult.
Ella was 26.
but he has the mindset of a 12-year-old.
Oh, he's in like your mid 30s. So I mean, like we have a mostly adult party here.
Severin's an adult.
As far as
Severin
birds
is a
go.
chicken.
Excuse me! I don't care if it's breaking the
love
fourth wall.
that the
I will
face
destroy you.
Of that puppet actually looks upset all the time. Like just
He's
the
just
expression.
disappointed.
He just looks salty about whatever.
It's his
is
resting
currently
bird
happening.
face.
The resting bird face. Exactly what that puppet has. Resting bird face.
Severin does not wear a watch. He decides what time it is.
So around that point, Rasheen, Resme, and Raz, you now have the R side of the table.
Oh, we do.
Ooh.
Yeah. We're the best.
Resme, Rasheen, and Raz.
We are the
Yeah.
best.
The Trushik and Charshel side of the table.
No. Noble heroes. You guys.
Raz.
Noble Heroes sketch. We'll see what happens.
Just because I
might have
have
to move you over there.
copious amounts of drugs does not mean that I'm sketchy.
You eat corpses.
You don't know that.
You don't know
Stop
that.
We don't
metagaming.
know the corpses. We don't know the drug.
Sheik is a
Sheik's a great guy.
wizard.
He's
He's an
great.
upstanding
He's
member
an-
of society.
He's an upstanding gentleman.
Look at the pimp vest he's got.
Yeah,
He's got the
absolutely.
sick
I'm
red
definite-
drake skin
yep.
jacket.
Resme
I
remembers when he
didn't make
tried
it for
to
nothing.
save
He's a
that.
beautiful
Dude.
lizard.
He tried to
Resme-
save Narset with the antidote that he tried to give her.
Resme believes in his goodness.
It is. Yeah.
Not a lick of it, but
It may not be there, but what matters is that we believe. Around that time, the three of you would come up into the
Once all the
bed
evidence is
chambers
gone.
behind Marshall as Trishik is standing back up. You see Valia kind of trying to right herself, struggling through a combination of one-handedness and incredible pain.
I'm so glad you're doing a little bit better.
Oh, you're right. It has been a rough day. She lost a whole arm.
Oh no, she was like that before.
Pre-existing condition, fortunately.
Oh, well, that's rough. So where's my stuff? He just looks back down. He's asking the rat, "Where's my stuff?" And the rat keeps pointing.
Well, the rat would have been pointing off to the
Yeah.
side of the fork before you came here. So
And
he pointed back to where
we
you
kept
came down.
walking without paying attention to the rat.
Yeah.
He's like,
Marshall kind of does one of these with Drew. She's, who's the rat?
that is new friend who crawled out of a hole.
I'm sorry, one moment, please.
No.
And she pulls the book off of her hip.
Oh, I feel perversely better that
as
you're doing
soon
that.
as she pulls the book, Raz comes over and tries to snatch it out of her hand.
So she is also a Dex character, so and is taller than you. So
That's not fair.
kind of pulls it up, please. One moment.
I would
Can I
be
see it?
thoroughly impressed if book had information on a what do you call yourself?
Masoki.
Isoki.
I know they have a.
Goodness,
Yes.
you've gotten very good at using one hand to get through that. It's very impressive.
A few weeks of practice now, thank you. And she puts the book back away. And she turns to Rez, and with her one hand raises two fingers and touches them to the tip of her nose. Lydia Valia, Argans, Asimov.
That's an old greeting.
That's a noble greeting.
I don't get it.
You can't be telling me that in that book it told you how to talk to rat people.
Hey,
It's a sign of respect.
Yosoki.
So
You're
Marshall doesn't understand that he accidentally sticks his
Yosoki?
finger in
Yosoki.
his nose
Don't call me a rat.
and flicks an ember.
It's
Is
a
like
sign
how
of respect.
is like how people.
And it said that in that book there.
What do you think I carry it for?
the letters must be
This
very tiny to hold all that information.
It's pretty thick. It's like a thick handbook. She has a hip holster because it's a rectangle.
Wait, are you telling me you have a secret handshake?
You learned something. new every day.
Severin tries to put his wing to his beak.
Follow me.
Look, This is Bulmantel's Guide to Noble Etiquette throughout Avestan and Casimir, 3rd edition, 4718. A few years out of date, but I imagine still.
There's a 4th
stands up
edition.
well enough. 4th edition. No, I've
There's
been
4th
away
edition.
from Taldor too long. Well, I apologize if this has fallen out of favor, but I mean no offense.
Now I know what to get you for your birthday.
Oh, introductions. He stands up straight. My name is Raz. Raz.
Sir Raz, I take it?
You can call me Sir Raz. Teacher Raz. Sir Raz. Raz. Raz.
Teacher Raz.
Teacher Raz.
Professor.
Professor. Teacher. Professor. Yes.
Professor
yes.
Raz, the titles that you are owed. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I imagine that my associates here have saved you from a terrible fate in the quarry.
Oh,
Correct?
Oh, he was in the cage with the rest of the slaves, but actually he was quite spry. He managed to climb his way all the way up to the bars. He just needed a bit of help getting through.
you need help getting that out.
I can yank it out.
Don't yank it out.
No.
Don't kick it out.
Don't yank it out.
Oh, I don't have my stuff.
Please,
One
it's all
second.
right.
I'll be right back.
I apologize for my demeanor and condition. Ill-befitting of introductions and of a lady, but I'm making the best of the situation. I hope you'll forgive.
Oh, I almost forgot.
And like in almost an instant, she's returned back to like OG Valia here, in the face of new folk. Rat basically wearing a sack, and they wouldn't have had like rat clothes, so Raz would almost literally be wearing a burlap sack where they've just cut down the sides and ripped a hole in the top. So it's like a hospital gown, just sort of flapping.
I'll start
You look strong.
prestidigitationing Valia
Hi,
to make
miss.
her clean again.
Can you come with me?
It's because my shadow came back.
Oh, interesting. Tell me that story later.
Very well.
Come with me.
Where are you going?
I got my stuff.
Do you know where it is?
King Mataz knows where it is.
Does he actually?
Yes.
Does he have a pet rat?
He points.
He's actually pointing in a direction. This is spectacular. But anyway, I've got to see this. Yes, I'm going to follow him. Let's go.
And she pulls up her book and starts flipping. Falling into step, a little bit behind you, a little distracted. She's flipping through the book, realizing that the rat is sentient and looking for something.
Oh, if there's something in that book for this, I will be blown away. This would be amazing.
Marshall looks at resume.
Lassie, come here. What's going on with that rat folk?
I do believe that is our new companion, at least for the moment, and his rather smaller friend. It's very odd, though. It would be like if I had like a very like small like elf person, and I carried them around in my pocket and spoke to them.
Oh my god, that's exactly what it's like.
It's very distressing, actually, when you think about it from a sociological point of view.
You know, I just realized something, lass. One time, I could actually get big enough to put you in me pocket.
It's like a giant having a gnome in their pocket.
No, it's an elf with a gnome with a pixie. It's like
nesting doll affair.
It's like rushing dolls. It's amazing. It's like,
You've heard of Elf on a Shelf.
Now try rat in a hat. I'm just, I hate to sound like Valia, but socially speaking, I'm actually not quite sure how to deal with it.
I'm surprised your bird didn't try to eat it.
Oh, he did. He still wants to. Look at him. He's following him around with his eyes. He's got that look in his eye.
Doing that thing where it's just not moving the body at all, just watching.
it's the head just.
Although, I'm thinking of giving King Rat a tip.
The king?
Apparently. Now I'm...
That is the smallest kid I've ever seen.
I'm doubly sure not how to deal with it socially now because it actually outranks the bigger rat.
Wait,
Like the bigger rat pays obeisance to the smaller rat.
I'm gonna roll an intelligence check to see if his brain just explodes.
Yeah,
It's a solid 10.
Does his
You're
brain
not
explode?
really ready for this.
I don't know.
Like
He doesn't know.
I'm confused.
Marshall just starts drooling because his brain's just full out like.
Full processing power.
I'm also
Steam coming out of his ears.
I'm just somewhat confused over who we're going to get to sign the contract.
It'd likely be both, would it not?
Well, I don't know. If you had a servant, would you let your servant sign a legal document?
If it is for them to be risking life and limb and you'll both be employed,
Well,
Oh, I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
there's one way I can say that they're worth our time. A good old-fashioned combat.
I do not think fighting Tiny Rat would be a good idea.
Just a little spar match to
Here,
see what they're
Echo, please
worth.
don't fight me. You hear in Dwarvish, please don't fight me.
What
Speaks my language.
What are you shouting back down the corridor for?
I hear echoes of them wanting to fight a rat, and I'm the only rat I know around here besides King.
Well,
And I don't think anyone wants to fight King. He's much too strong for them.
is he now?
See, I told you.
So he can somehow find lost objects, and he's apparently a very capable fighter. This I've got to see.
Well, he didn't find lost objects. He rode with it and then showed me. Well, he showed me.
And as you're walking, as the king is guiding you down the one hall you haven't been down yet, a passageway opens up into what was much more of a natural cavern. The floor looks like it's been leveled a little bit for usability, but around the edges of the room, the stalagmites growing out of the ground and still small stalactites almost scattered like popcorn across the ceiling, as well as the curved, eroded walls, clearly indicate that this highest of the chambers wasn't dug, it was already here. It's a chamber separated into two parts. The first, large, just open, near spherical expanse that looks out over the quarry where the archers clearly had fired from before. You can see a small, not crate so much as a wooden tray, lined with a pile of straw scattered around it that has the impressions where probably once quivers of arrows sat. And next to it, a rope ladder, coiled up, pythoned into the ground that looks like it could easily be unfurled down to the quarry floor. Then the cavern narrows a bit into a smaller, attached secondary area, completely packed with barrels and crates. Supplies, goods, stockades, absolutely filling this secondary chamber.
Oh, spectacular. Look at this.
Oh,
We
I'm
could actually feed all these people with this.
hungry.
As soon as we get in the room, Rash drops down to all fours and just scampers all the way over to all the stuff and starts just sniffing around and scavenging.
You would find that
Don't ruin it now.
there are a section of crates that are stacked a little haphazardly off to the side to your left as you pass through this opening, that are just kind of shunted back to the corner, again, sort of helter-skelter. And sniffing through them, well, your king would lead you. You would find that each of them, with lids not even nailed or shut or even really attached, they're just, again, in a heap, is a wide assortment of outfits of all shapes and sizes, odds and ends, bits of jewelry, personal effects, small blades, sets of boots. It clearly looks like it is everything that they have probably pilfered from the slaves in the pit when they captured them. They had just heaped up for dealing with later.
Miss Roshin,
Oh, this is spectacular. Look at this.
we found all their stuff.
And all of your stuff would be in there as well.
Yes. We found all the stuff they took from the nice people in the
Near the
pit.
top, because you've only been here for a day, so like
Yeah.
your stuff would be pretty much right there.
Yeah.
This would be amazing. Nothing gets someone's dignity back, like giving them back their things.
And I grab my bag, I look for my outfit, like, I'm gonna go change. Just takes off.
Let's see if we can't drag some of this food and stuff over to them and start giving it out.
The lion's share of the supplies would be more organized barrels and crates. That is, a lot of food stuff, several sealed barrels of water, one of which has been cracked and is about half full. All the rest are still show their outer layer of black tar to waterproof them. Casks and caskets of all kinds of supplies, simple tools and ends of rope and timber, things that they would need just for day-to-day operations continuing to exist in the quarry.
So I noticed that this is a lot of heavy stuff that's
There's a lot
all
of-
the way at the top of a path. That path has no stairs anywhere along the entire side of it. So Roshin is going to look for something like a cart or something that you would naturally use to haul all this shit up here.
They would definitely have a small, like, hand cart, almost
Okay.
like a wheelbarrow kind of thing. They definitely were not hauling all of it by hand. There'd probably be a pair of those. They'd be able to fit a couple of crates or barrels in at a time to move it.
Good.
But
Between the three of us, we could probably realistically carry decent.
But based on the
amounts.
presence of these little hand carts, it looks like it really was just carted up here in wheelbarrows.
I mean, it would take like it'd take slave labor to go and pull all these things all the way up this place.
Or
Only
one
they had
marshal.
access to
Or
slave
one
labor.
I know.
Or one marshal.
Or one marshal.
But looking through the sorting here for anything of import or interest,
Detect magic.
Or giants.
Yeah, detect magic would definitely turn up several of the things that Raz has run off with. But otherwise,
Skitter.
you would find a couple of small enchantments on pieces of jewelry. Something that would be relatively common are minor abjurations on boots, which
Make them
are
more comfy.
it's not even comfy. It makes them hardier. That basically just means that they last longer. Something that the more well-off residents of the region would probably be able to invest in. You get a nice pair of boots, you get it enchanted, so they last longer.
Are they like? This is in the stack of stuff that is the
That is for
stuff
the
that
slaves.
belongs for the
Right.
slaves. Okay.
And then the Scarlet Triad supplies, you would find nothing magical whatsoever. Only things they'd pilfered. And it would all be mundane goods, everything that you would expect, minus two things. One crate, which is opened on the right, would have 20 more sets of these manacles. The old Scarlet Triad have been carrying. Excited for it. Cool thing? No. All stamped with the Scarlet Triad insignia along the side. But one of the casks would be a relatively cheap, two of the casks would be a relatively cheap wine, which is alcohol that you can consume to get drunk. It's that level of wine.
Okay.
But one of the smaller crates near it would actually have 24 assorted smaller bottles of much harder liquor, which is not throwaway garbage and is probably worth some money.
Roisin will happily take that and toss it in her bag.
Now, Roisin, keep in mind that you don't want to go getting inebriated right now.
Of course not, there's work to do. Most of this is probably good for selling, actually. But
Oh, good.
certainly, I wouldn't want to sell something without sampling to see whether it's quality or not.
You
If
would
there is
never
going to
make
be
it.
sampling, they will simply test it with a kit. It is for selling, not for drinking.
See? He's
Selling not for
correct.
drinking. Look, if we wanted to sell it, we could just put it on that scale of yours. I want to actually know what we have. Maybe we don't want to sell all of them. Maybe we want to sell 11 and not 12.
I'm gonna point at the
24
big barrels of wine. If you would like to drink, take a cup of this.
That's a good point. Take
Okay.
more than a cup, though.
Marshall already grabs a couple kegs and just quietly walks away with it.
Well, there's only two, so he's taking them both.
Couple is both. He's already walking off with
He
the kegs
just
of
he
wine.
just walks off and goes, just for the record, I earned this.
I suppose we'll start moving all of this stuff down to where the pens are and start doling it out. People will start to feel better once they're hydrated and have a little food in them.
Well, it's the middle of the night. It'd be a lot easier to do this during the daytime.
Yes,
It would
but
still be good to give them something to last the night.
if you were starving for as long as some of them have, you wouldn't want to wait the night.
The Triad haven't been. Very well. It's going to be a difficult job, and we're exhausted and very badly wounded.
To tell
I
you
think
the
it would be
truth,
best.
I would love to have something to do that didn't involve me thinking about anything at all.
As you wish.
So you'd pretty easily be able to spend the remainder of the night here, making sure that all of the newly freed slaves from the pit were well enough, were no immediate danger of dying. Notably, none of them have any severe injuries. Some, there are of course some scattered cuts and bruises, but nobody has anything worse than that.
We can stabilize
Nobody
them.
has anything that would be even considered lethal damage on them.
Okay.
Food and water, and being let out of the pit, definitely raises the spirits of those around pretty considerably. And even though you can clearly tell these people come from all around Ravenel, they nearly all share that same Ravenelli accent. And they're not from the same community, but they band together pretty quickly. Regardless of how long they've been in the pit, they are not utter incompetence, and they are. Once I've realized that this is actually happening, this isn't some kind of a trick, they are quick to assist you in organizing and aiding, and those who are stronger are more than willing to help out with carting supplies and carrying things around. And you've got a pretty good midnight operation underway
Are there any
within a couple of
challenge?
hours. There would probably be a couple. Chelish is close enough to the border that they probably would have grabbed some Chelish too. They didn't seem to be incredibly picky about who they were doing. Just from the they've all come from the geographical region around the area. Talking to some of them, you would hear people from Kintargo, people from even further north, some more people from the more southern residences across Ravenel as it gets more scattered and sparse. And indeed, even a couple from Cheliax, or perhaps even some East Gary, as that border is not terribly far from here either.
At some point during the night, Resme would grab a couple of hours of sleep, just enough to get her to the point where she's functional, but she really doesn't need that much sleep, and she doesn't seem to want to stop moving.
Marshall would probably be helping with most of like the heavy lifting, whether it's supplies or anything else that they needed. And then he would drink himself silly and pass out and take a power nap.
Yeah, as soon as she woke up, she'd actually ask for any of the papers or any of the books or anything that you found on Vayris and start making her way through that.
Roshin's going to give them to you, but Roshin is probably just going to not be helping for too much longer. She's basically helping enough to make sure you guys aren't going to hurt yourselves and that everything is okay with the slaves. And then she's going to find a corner somewhere and just collapse.
Raz, after he gets changed, he comes back out, all dressed and duded up in fancy clothing and fancy sashes. And he has a big old wide brim hat on with the king sitting on the tip of the brim. All right, what can I do to help? I have plenty of sleep, plenty of rest, plenty of food.
Can you make them feel better? You made me feel better.
I know just the thing. He scampers off again and comes back out with a little loot he found from one of the guards.
You looted the loot?
I looted the loot. Yes, yes, I like to loot the loot. King, you remember how to play this? He plucks a few. Yes. That's it. And he starts just going at it. King, give me the paper. And you see the rat run down, come over to his bandolier, reaches in, pulls out a piece of paper, and unfolds it with his little hands, and just goes back up and holds it in front of him, and it's just sheet music. He's like, yeah, that's how it goes. And he just starts playing a little song for the people.
It turns out between the power of Raz's weird little musical adventure and, being freed from the slavery pit, the spirits around the quarry are going to be pretty high, honestly. It's made abundantly clear as this operation is set up that the Triad has been well and truly defeated. I mean, corpses are literally strewn all throughout the quarry.
Many of them far too big for anyone to move.
Including the Shadow Giant, which is just here, like 100 feet away, if even that. But as part of the operations, those would be dragged off to a side, covered with blankets. There is, at
All
first...
of them? Like the giants and everything from in the caves?
Well, I mean, you got a bunch of people here who could absolutely
fair.
band
That's
together
fair.
and move some giants.
That's
Who
just a
could just
lot
be
of
hauled off into their own beds.
Look, we
You got like 80 people here that can do work. Like, you got a workforce.
have a pretty
And,
hefty beefcake.
And they have to haul stuff up and down, and they don't... Most of your general citizenry of Galarian has enough combined respect for the dead and fear of the gods that they don't really want to be walking by exposed corpses as they're, doing their work regardless of who those bodies are. Some of the bodies over the night, not the giants, but the bodies of the actual human and dwarven soldiers of the Triad, throughout the night would actually be carried out as the carts were no longer necessary for supplies. Some of the more religious of those who have been captured here would even start moving them out of the quarry for burials.
I thought you meant the Uruxi were going to eat them.
No. No, you have enough people here that don't want to piss off Pharasma, Desna, Asmodeus, who pick your god by disrespecting the dead, that they would even be taking the Scarlet Triad members out. It would, no sad words of eulogy would be spoken, but they would at least be taken out to be buried in something a step above a heap.
Just a burial ditch.
Yeah, more like an elongated grave where they're each laying down individually and covered up.
I could grow big and help with the giant bodies if I felt like it, if that makes sense. Or make them smaller.
Quick prayers and some quick curses would be said over the bodies, but nobody wants to risk the ire of the deities.
I don't know about nobody.
Most, it's not like everybody here is like, yeah, I gotta make sure we go bury these slavers. But like the more devout among the slaves would be like, I don't want to mess. I don't want to take this risk.
Yep.
Like doesn't sentiments of regardless of who they were, they're with the Lady of Graves now. respect for the dead, regardless of their life, etc. There are enough of those folk that the Scarlet Triad that could be moved would be. This would, unless, well, you're probably asleep by this point, like this would include Vayris also, who by the time you woke in the morning, did nothing but the giants' bodies would be left throughout the area.
We stripped Vayris of her.
Yeah, you have all of her stuff that was valuable,
Yeah.
so it would just be like a naked null
We would,
without him.
with some clothes under what she had under her armor.
as much as I can, I would get across to them that we're going to do everything in our power to get them back to where they came from.
And again, they are in relatively good spirits given the condition. Like they seem pretty hopeful. They've seen what the literally four of you have, five with Valia, have managed to do, and
4.5.
4.5 of you have managed to do. There's no reason, like, these people believe you. You've freed them, you've fed them, you've given them back their things, which a lot of people they one of the first priorities after food would be just bringing all of that down to a large heap.
When people
where it is
get their
attempted
stuff
to
back.
be redistributed, people, and there is almost no quarrel over even things that are clearly fine and nice. Nary a misplaced ring throughout all of this, as everyone is more than happy to put the community first here to get back to their normal lives. Slavery is canceled. Now, Resume, you would at some point get a hold of all of the things that have been on Vayris's desk. Start looking through all of that, and here you do in fact have the pile of knowledge. You have a lot of things that are interesting. You have a lot of things that are telling.
Are you ready to throw handfuls of dice?
You have a
down
lot of
that
things
tower?
that are pretty clearly valuable. Rasheen would have been able to tell you, obviously, that the large sapphire was certainly magical, whatever the heck it actually was. And why don't you roll me a check to attempt to identify that?
Is that Arcana?
Yeah, Arcana or whatever.
Then
you
that's
used to
going to be a
translate it.
36.
It was a 14.
I saw
before
it was a
knocked
14.
it.
I think that train needs to come slightly towards you. I think it got pushed back a little bit. I can move the camera for it
Like
later.
that?
The other side of it, predominantly.
Eh.
There you go. That's where it was. It got a little bit bumped, so because I can see your papers, so I know which side of it is. We can rearrange it after stream.
Very good. Very good.
That's a 36.
So looking over this thing here, you would be able to, at this point, unravel exactly what magic laid within this giant fist-sized sapphire, this strange stone. Many of Vayris's notes would refer to it by name. It is the Eye of the Wise. And even had you not been able to identify it with your magic, you would know that it is another key to the gates of Alseta's ring. This jewel in kind opening up Jewel Gate. It's dedicated to the goddess Urol.
Nerol?
Urol. It's one of the elven deities
You butchered it.
that you would. How much would you know of like the elven pantheon? I mean, you literally worship Alseta, so I imagine a lot.
I also have Elven lore.
So a lot then. Yulrol is sort of elven Nethys in that she's the goddess of magic, but whereas Nethys is the god of magic and being insane, Yulrol is much more respect and the understanding of magic, not so much the pursuit of knowledge like Nethys is. Almost a druidic sort of relation with magic.
So she's my girl.
Yeah, I mean, she would be very akin to Alseta.
Yeah.
It's this very much the same style of worship as it's the same ancient elven pantheon.
It's certainly beautiful.
Jewel Gate was dedicated to her. That much you identified when you first found Alseta's ring, however many months ago. But in addition to that, like all the rest of these portal keys, the Eye of the Wise has additional functionality. And this looks like it has latent magic within it that you could activate basically at will. It has two predominant functions. The first is that it can be used almost as a lens, though it looks like it is near jet black, and held up to your eye, it's almost opaque. With not even a command word, with an actual mechanical activation of the magic, almost a force of will, the gem becomes clear and filters. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It filters what you see through Yulral's lens, through a lens of understanding and truth and purity. This would be equally useful if you were trying to read a person, sensing motive, as if you were just looking for a hidden door or even trying to pick a lock, as it would at deciphering ancient writings. What passes through this gem, what you see, isn't different. It's not like revealing things that are invisible. It's just witnessed at a heightened level of understanding. And you can do that indefinitely. This isn't limited. The Eye of the Wise, after all, is an eye. This is an incredibly powerful artifact of Yulral's magic. But additionally, it can be activated, touched to a different gemstone, and the Eye of the Wise itself will physically transform into a duplicate of the gemstone that it is touched to. It will remain as such until you will it back into its massive black sapphire status. And while it is matched to a gem, one person can carry gem A, one person can carry gem B, and you can telepathically communicate at any distance. It forges a bridge of knowledge between the two bearers.
Oh.
Did you just say that I have an infiltration walkie-talkie?
I did just say, I told you you'd like this one. I did tell you you were going to like this one.
I have a walkie-talkie now.
Notably, you can't use both powers at the same time.
That's fine.
Because if it's being an infiltration walkie-talkie, you can't turn it back into the Eye of the Wise to use it to help you, like, pick locks or see things.
I have a skeleton key.
That's true, you have a skeleton key. You're having a good time in here.
I've got both sides of that covered.
He's got all the toys.
I don't have to walk back and forth to tell you guys where the enemies are now.
Yeah, he could literally walkie-talkie it back to you.
You could think where the enemies are.
I did tell you were going to like this one.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty cool rock. So, you would see that these extra facets, these extra works of its ability, were something that Vayris never unlocked. But her notes, her studies, the letters that she has received, and copies that she have kept, would give you a lot of insight into what she has done, how the operations in Summershade Quarry came to be, and beyond that,
Well, slavery.
what the Scarlet Triad is to some extent after. Vayris, by her own accord, originally was taken by the Scarlet Triad some years prior. Not as a slave, but and this is almost an older hand. Her older writings, it looks like she is not uneducated, but she clearly didn't have the same wit, the same knowledge that she has now. Some years passed. It's possible Vayris was honestly fairly young. You have no idea how to tell a Knoll's age, really. She didn't look it. But she was taken by a man named Etrix Treagle. Not as a slave, but as something called a chosen. Admittedly, whatever she was chosen for, whatever it was supposed to be, never seemed to come to fruition. Because her aggression, her brutality, Treagle found increasingly amusing. At first frustrating, but then amusing, and then possibly useful. Vayris has made an impact on the Scarlet Triad mostly through physical might. When she started to really get the ear of their leaders and work for them, those they put above her that she didn't agree with, she simply killed. She came from a city called Okano, where climbing the ranks like this was, well, kind of commonplace. That's not super out there for a lot of Knoll society. Or it would have seemed a big problem for the Scarlet Triad, it seems as Treagle saw a lot of promise in her. By the time that you came here, she was one of the highest commandants in the Triad itself.
That didn't last very long.
It lasted a while. It's ended now. But she has been in this high-ranking position now for 2.5 years.
Okay.
It's
like she got posted here last week.
Well, that sucks. Just got promoted, did you? She has a lot of plans about the quarry and how she set it up. This seems to be much an operation of her own that she's put together. The main goal is to gather worthy slaves here. She uses that word, worthy, to eventually be shipped back to Treagle, to the rest of the Triad, for their uses, and she receives a pretty good cut of the profits. Though she was given command of a lot of Triad assets, she seems to almost operate on her own. A fact that she is not upset about. But she mainly seems to lay on 2 relationships within the Triad, other than Treagle, who clearly is a superior that she is attempting to gain favor in the eyes of, someone she's trying to impress. One of her more recent missives,
Ilvarashma has come up with a wise plan. He thinks we can operate freely under the shadows of some nation to the north, some political turmoil he can stir up to cover our tracks. He seems confident this is wise, so give us nearly free reign to take as we please throughout the Ravenel countryside, and so far it has worked. This is why I've come to rely on him so much. I don't understand how after this entire operation we've assembled, Treagle doesn't see what we're capable of. With my might and Ilvarashma's wit, we could be 10-fold the force that Emberbeard is. He cowers in caves, in mountains, peddling nothing but scales and heat, nothing to show for it. Well, we have captured dozens, hundreds of perfectly worthy stock for Treagle's markets. But this, the Eye of the Wise, he calls it. This gem is an inn. This is one of the portal keys, one of the one that Treagle's have been searching for. It activates one of the gateways of Alseta's ring. I've reached out to some folk in this breach hill. Treagle wishes to cut contact. Even he is a coward. But I cannot mistake the might that he commands. Still, ignoring breach hill, leaving Alseta's ring to this rabble is foolish. I've met a few contacts. I've sent letters to the worshipper of Norgorber. Ilvarashma has given me most of the rundown on this worship, and this Vaz seems very willing to operate for coin. He'll find an entrance to this ring, find where it's physically located. You put her out of the picture, and I step in. If not, Burton seems a good second candidate.
We killed you. We killed you.
Burton is the head counselor of Breach Hill.
We haven't killed him yet.
That'll be.
No, that's next.
We'll take care of that shortly.
Are we?
Well, if he tries me.
I've heard the name. I know that he might disappear one day. We'll see.
But as she continues, but still, this Eye of the Wise is a second tool. Even if we can't find a physical entry to Alseta's ring, if Vaz is the pathetic whelp she seems, groveling for coin, and Burton somehow has more morals or loyalty to Cheliax than I would like to hope, this Eye of the Wise will get us there. We can work from within. But not only does this activate a gate, no, this activates Joel Gate. This activates Emberbeard's gates. No more will I have to grovel to this feckless dwarf. When I command the portal, she needs to move forces. Trigal will have to see then. This Eye of the Wise, if we can get to Alseta's ring, if we can get a foothold in Breachel, will lead us directly to Kovler. And when I show up, bearing the portal key, even Emberbeard will have to appreciate my rank in the Triad.
What is it with these Triad people and writing down every damn thought in their brains?
As you're reading it, halfway through, this Raz's head up underneath your arm, reading it along with you.
Oh, hi there.
Hello. What are we reading? Seems interesting. Letter? Secret letter?
And there's a lot of journals and letters and correspondence, which, in addition to telling you a little bit more about Embermead and what she's about, Vayris only seems to operate on surnames. So what Embermead and Marshall's family this may be, still no real connection given there. It's clearly a lady, and she's in a place called Kovler, operating on the far side of Jewel Gate to subvert the last defenders of this dead dwarven city.
And that seems like a good as time as any to take our midstream break.
Not yet. So as you look through, you can see that while she's pulled together this slavery operation, the trap and the giant sluices she had set into the back wall are largely exactly what Rasheen had figured. She saw these were here when she had gotten here. Obviously, she didn't set this up. This was something they had to dam in order to keep the quarry safe, and they want to reinforce it with metal rather than leaving a layer of stone that might eventually erode. And it's implanted some way deep in the walls, but Vayris saw it as a great opportunity for a bug-out option, should the worst come around. So if this area was found, if the Silver Council started to really come down the quarry, she would simply flip the lever, wash away and drown whatever slaves were in the pit, cut her losses, and the Triad would leave back to wherever they were. She has absolutely no value placed on these lives that haven't yet been sent back to Trigal to sell.
Does it say where Jewel Gate is?
Kovler.
No, where the gate to Kovler is.
In
Alseta's ring.
Sorry. Sorry, my brain just turned off for a
second. In your
second.
portal circle.
See?
It's okay. I
just
took a
went
lot
the
of
very-
notes, so I know where they all are.
Look, I have to pee really badly. It's not my fault.
Now,
Your
the
brain
last
stops
bit of
working?
this that you can find is that she has a pretty good amount of research into Alseta's ring. Some of which appears to have been sent. You recognize the hand you haven't seen for some time by Vaz herself. Vaz has sent a lot of information that she had uncovered on Alseta's ring back to Vayris. And Vayris and Brazakal Varashma had combined that into their own pile of knowledge. And they have largely sussed out what all but one of the gates do. You learn that not only does Jewel Gate lead to Kovlar, another of the gates in your ring actually leads directly to Katapesh.
Ooh, interesting.
Like directly.
Katapesh is a country.
Yes.
Yeah, it leads into Katapesh, yes. Into a windswept desert, not far from the ridiculous gnome village, she calls it.
Love it already.
But a few days' journey from the capital.
Okay. They're right into the heart of the country.
We
Right into the heart
represent
of Katapesh.
the bleached people.
She also is clearly, you see repeated throughout this, upset that Trigal and Embermead, who does seem to have rank over her, she takes a lot of her commands from Embermead. She is not corresponding much directly with Trigal. It is mostly with Embermead, so she has absolutely
Interesting.
nothing but freaking disdain for, but is clearly her direct superior. Embermead has commanded her to stay here, gather what she can, stay away from Breach Hill, find good stock, stay away from Breach Hill, and remain undetected, and stay away from Breach Hill. As Vayris continually tries to push to be allowed to, if not subvert Breach Hill, just kick it over directly, which she is sure that they're fully capable of doing.
So
But
Vayris shouldn't. So did the guys who came to Breach Hill to recruit us
Sent by Vayris.
sent by Vayris?
surely sent by Vayris.
Clearly not supposed to have done that.
The Scarlet Triad, at least Embermead and all of her instructions, are absolutely adamant that Breach Hill should be left alone.
Okay.
Because interfering with Breach Hill directly
Could stir
is
up a
certainly
hornet's
too
nest.
overt of a move to evade the watch of our benefactor.
Too overt of a move. Huh.
No.
That is a good time to take our midstream break.
Think on that.
Why do you have to give me a cliffhanger?
That's the point.
Chance, we're gonna stand up for a couple minutes, refill our drinks, use the bathroom, stretch our legs. We'll be back before too long.
We're
So
going
don't
to
go
leave
too
you with
far.
naked face squid.
Gonna leave you with sad baby face squid highlights, probably, that you will have to simply deal with. I hate it so much. But anyway, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for being here and your support so far. Give us just a few, and we'll see. Well, I don't imagine there's much more to learn here. So we'll probably just, get hoofing it.
Yeah. Bring all
Let's
of the
leave
slaves
the
home.
quarry forever. BRB. As we come back in, we left off with things at the quarry fairly well in hand. It would take you maybe a day or so to get everyone organized, make sure everyone's well enough to travel, everyone's got their things, but logistics of large groups are more complicated than they need to be 100% of the time. But by the following evening, the group of you and all the newly freed slaves, Raz included, will be more than ready to head out in the morning away from Summershade Quarry to fan back out across the countryside to whence they came from. Now, you came here in a carriage, which is not too far down from the graveled ramp leading up into the quarry itself, with a couple of your horses, which surely during all of the previous days setups, you would have came back down and fed and made sure they were all fine. So you can
Probably
come.
just brought him into the quarry.
Yeah,
after
you can
it's
just bring them
done.
into the quarry at this point. You could definitely follow a lot of these people who are making their journey north to various smaller settlements throughout the southern half of Ravenel, where everything is very rural and very spread out. But some of these people are going south, some are going east. Just again, by merits of logistics, you can't go with everyone. So in some situations, you just have to wish them all the best. But travel in a mass with who you can. And over the following days, as you retrace your steps back to the north, several weeks' journey up towards Kintargo. Mark off a whole lot of calendar days here. As your group thins and thins some more, you're left with less than a dozen scattered, newly freed slave stock as you arrive back in Kintargo itself. Raz included.
Raz included. Raz is here.
Sorry guys, Raz is here.
Raz is here.
Raz is here.
You sure speak a lot of languages, Raz.
At some point during the journey, he's gonna look at Marshall.
What do you start at?
I was staring at a dwarf. You are a dwarf, right? You look like a dwarf. You're kind of tall for a dwarf.
Yeah, I was a little bigger than the rest of them.
He gets very close, like inches away from you, and just, it was you I was smelling. Musk, blood. Yeah, you're like the 8th worst dwarf I've ever smelled.
Say that again and I'll eat you.
9th worst dwarf I've ever smelled. I forgot about the one I met in Absalom.
Let me introduce you to my friends. Pulls out both of his weapons with a big thud. This is Big Red, and this is Rectangle.
He stands up on his tiptoes as high as he can to get as close, as high up red as he can. Oh! Beautiful axe. Chip, worn. Ooh, seen a lot of battle.
Yes. Oh yeah. Trust me. Killed a few giants with this, and a couple dragons. My friends can tell you.
What's your name?
My
name's Raz.
I heard. I am Marshall Amberbeard.
That sounds familiar.
It would be a little bit if you were reading paper.
Oh, yes. I suppose your family, extended though it is somehow wrapped up in this business, but I'm really not sure how.
Unfortunately, neither do I, but I definitely want to find out.
Roisin, while we're here and doing things, would you mind trying something for me?
I'm sorry. Yes, of course. What can I do for you?
Take this stone.
This is the really pretty one that was on Vayris' desk. Yes, did you find anything out about it?
In your head? Why, yes, I did.
Well, you'd be handing her a regular gem because you have to sink it into a regular gem first.
Mine.
But right. So it wouldn't be the sapphire when she handed it to you.
Oh,
it would
okay.
It would be something else.
Like
It'd be just a really pretty
jewel.
oh.
It would just be a piece of jewelry that looks kind of like the one I'm wearing.
This makes this all very sudden. I don't know if I can accept this just straight off the bat or anything.
I'll just put it on.
Can't you take me out to dinner first?
Oh gosh. We're not there yet.
Oh. Alright, what have I got myself into?
Now we're there. In your head.
Oh my goodness gracious.
See? I figured it out.
How does this work?
Magic.
It's of course magic. You're a smartass, you know that.
All right, look. So the gate where this leads is Jewel Gate.
It's not exactly surprise.
It's a gate key.
Yes, it is. It has some interesting abilities that I think Trishik especially are going to find very interesting. If you hold it up, not while it's like this, but when it's not like this and you
can change it back. Like
I'll
it's
change it
literally
back.
one action.
Yeah, I
you
know.
can change it back.
She'll change it back.
And it immediately just morphs and grows back into the black sapphire.
Here, look through it. See what I mean?
I'll take it and look through it. It looks opaque. What am I looking for?
Let me see something. This is good. She'll reach it into the wagon and pull out one of her little jewel boxes that has a nice lock on it. Go, pick it.
And I'll take out my skeleton key.
No, not
I still have to use it like a pick. It's just a pick that can't break.
Well, then go.
So I'll take out the skeleton key and put it in there while holding up the gem. It's also the only pick I have I can use with one hand. So the gem is still opaque.
Yes, just keep looking through it and try to pick the lock.
Keep trying to pick the lock, the gem still being opaque because you didn't tell me how to use it.
Oh, yeah.
You said to look through it. You didn't tell me how to activate it.
That's right.
So you're just picking the lock blind at
You're
this
just
point.
like, I don't understand this.
All right. So you need to just think about it. Just will it to make opening the lock easier.
And I'll attempt to do
As
that.
you hold it and think about it, like you're trying to picture this lock, the gem, the blackness fades, it becomes near completely transparent. And while nothing looks ostensibly different through it, you have a better understanding. Like it feels like your senses are even further refined as you're picking this lock. Every tumbler and bit of motion inside the mechanism, you're intimately attuned to.
It's very interesting.
Isn't it, though?
I do not believe I need it for this lock, but it would be useful.
It would, and it's also very nice because, you're very good at, sneaking around and doing things where you're not necessarily in contact with us constantly, and, well, I could make you a very lovely piece of jewelry to match mine with it, and we would be able to talk to each other in our heads.
It would be useful. There'd be no more need to go back and forth.
Oh, most useful, I should think.
Does it have a range?
I don't think so. It should just work as long as we both have our jewels with us. It's also a gate key. It opens the gate.
Well, and holding up the sapphire, this opens gate. I do not believe that that ring would open the gate.
No. It works either one way or the other. Although it's also quite lovely, and I think that it would look fabulous against my skin with the right dress.
It is a very useful item, but good luck wearing large sapphire on the ring.
It is literally the size of a fist.
Oh,
like
no. I would put it on my neck.
still literally the size of a fish. You'd have like an egg hanging from
This
your
is
neck.
like a
You
thing
clearly
you
don't
play.
Be a very
understand
pretty
Victorian
egg.
jewelry, do you?
Bling bling.
All the rage with the rich folk.
I like to imagine Roshinli is over and
Boom.
says it exactly like that.
Bling bling. Right like that.
Well, exactly. If one's going to make a statement.
It's quite a statement. Says I could take off my necklace and beat you to death with it.
Oh, I don't need to take off my necklace to do that, silly.
But you could if you care to.
I suppose. Although, to tell you the truth, I'm much more... I don't know. I don't think I could.
Well, tell you what. If the need arises, just let me know. I'll take your necklace off and beat him to death with it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I am, aren't I?
You're the best sister.
Taking care of things. So was this ring a gift, or was it just to make a point?
You would have taken it back because it's
Yeah.
otherwise, right? So like she would have taken it back and turned it back into the gemstone.
Yeah, no.
Oh, so she didn't keep the actual eye and keep me the copy gem?
No,
She-
it's one or the other. I have a piece of jewelry.
Well, 'cause, yeah, she used it on her jewelry, so she gave you the eye. So she would have taken the eye back and turned it back into the gem.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess this is where we need to go next. Let me rewind a bit. So, it seems that Vayris was a little bit of an odd duck as far as the Scarlet Triad was concerned. A bit of a bruiser, as it were. And this Emberbeard person really ran most of things and reports to this Tree Goal person. And, well, whatever answers we're going to find, I have a feeling it's going to be through that gate.
I mean, that makes sense, but I just have to ask. I thought Vayris was a hyena. I'm not much for animals and whatever, but I don't think she was a duck.
Oh, she was a gnome. It wasn't a hyena. It was a gnome.
Oh, that's what a noise is.
Yeah, they look like a hyenas. Like I look like a rat. He looks like a lizard.
Oh, I ate a couple of those.
Anyways. You're talking about gates. Gate keys, gates, going
Oh.
here, going there.
Oh,
What are you
yes.
guys doing with the triad?
Raz is just whatever you guys are talking. Raz is just there. Raz just appears.
Just happy Scurries to be here. Books it up.
Hello.
Oh,
It's like a meerkat just popping up in the middle of conversations.
Right
Hello.
next to people. Hi.
I suppose we should rewind a bit. Raz, we're from Breach Hill.
And Valia, I would interject with this. Wait. Hold on. Do you really let her just go around telling this whole story to anyone who asks?
At this point, it does not exactly matter. Either we figure out enemy is enemy because they already know about it, or we inform a new ally.
Well, and plus, we let the little louse do what she wants anyway.
Well, indeed, the professor seems to be quite capable. If we can assist his aid in taking down the Triad, it only makes sense.
Also, I'd really like to have the king's help in all of this, and if that means enlisting his servant in our contract, I suppose that's what one has to do.
Let me correct you real quick. I'm not his servant. He's the king of rats. I'm a Yosoki. He's not my king.
Oh,
He calls me his servant because he has a high and mighty ego. He big ego, small body.
are you sure you're not his servant?
I'm pretty sure I'm not a servant. Am I your servant? No, I'm not gonna ask you. You're biased.
Well, that means he's a free agent. He can actually sign himself up.
Oh, good. You can sign the contract.
I like contracts.
Oh, good. We like contracts too. You can be one of the heroes of Breach Hill.
You're a breach hill.
You really are very quick to add people to this confidence.
Well, we've just
Where's
decided to
Rachel?
declare war on the entire Scarlet Triad and burn him to the ground, and we let him know we're coming this time. We're gonna need as many allies as we can get.
Wait.
Not to mention, they did hire me almost
a minute.
immediately.
He's cute. Look at him. He's adorable.
You call yourselves heroes in
Marshall.
public.
They do, yes.
Well,
You're like.
I would like to specify, little lady says heroes.
You have to admit, we do fairly heroic things. We literally just saved hundreds of people
You're like
from
the
being
children's
slaves.
stories, then. The ones I read to my students. Yes. Heroes, big and strong. What have you done? What kind of heroes?
oh, we've done so many things. This is going to be
One
so
second,
wonderful.
One second. So you're after the triad, right?
Yes,
Can I come with?
That is plan, yes.
I suppose
That
so.
is why
If you'd
we
like.
brought you
You
along.
might as well.
Good.
Anybody
Okay.
with a bit of a grudge against them is welcome.
Yes, if you want to kill Triad members, seek it out here.
I never thought about killing them. I just wanted to find them. Take back what they took.
But can he even kill anything? I mean, look at them.
Well, he's.
I killed a cat once. It tried to eat my rat.
But you,
It was a really big cat. I think it was a tiger. Maybe it was a lion.
But you have magic.
Does the cat get bigger every time you tell a story?
No, that's the fish.
You tell fish stories too.
Yeah, I'm an avid fisherman.
What about the catfish story?
What's that one?
In a way, it's the way both cat and fish can get bigger every time you tell it.
You gotta tell me.
I just pull out my axe.
Eventually will
Okay,
become a
so
tiger.
this is what's gonna happen.
You gotta tell me that story later too. I like that one.
I think you're going to fit in well. You see, we're all a bit insane here.
Insane's one word. Eccentric, fun, enjoyable, story-filled.
Focused, dedicated, driven. Those sorts of words. They're
You're
much
like-
better.
I like those
Potato.
words too. Those are good words.
Those are good words. Those are good words.
Maybe you
Good
have
words, Valia.
you have a lot of things to teach us. I think.
I have a lot of things to talk about,
Indeed.
especially that one. He looks dumb.
Oh, really?
It's a teacher's job to know how smart their students are. Yes, yes. That way they can help them the best to learn.
Well, fantastic. So Professor Raz, my apologies, has a great number of stories for us, and we have, he just kind of looks
A lot of
at
miles.
this guy, several weeks before we get back to Catargo.
With nowhere else to go.
Fantastic.
But Marshall did grab 2 large casks of very cheap wine.
Oh, those were
suppose-
gone.
I have a
Those
few
were-
bottles of very expensive brandy.
Oh, hold on. 2 casks of wine. It's been a day. How could you possibly? No man could consume that and still live to tell the tale.
Lass, look at me. Do you really think I care?
The limitations of the body and the poisonous of wine is of no concern to him.
Do you know I've actually never been drunk except for that one time when I was with you all?
I'm
I
not
could
sa-
absolutely believe that, yes.
Is this intending to be like a boast of some sort?
No, I'm just saying I don't understand why one would drink alcohol to get drunk. Isn't the purpose to enjoy it? The flavor, the smell, the body?
Oh, you come from such a privileged background. You're adorable.
It very much does depend on the situation. If you are at a noble gala in Taldor, hobnobbing with various professors and high-class wizards and senators, then, well, perhaps the various dissections of aromas and palates and lingering tastes is what you're after. If you are, say, traveling on the road in a mass of people for several weeks at a time, alongside the smell of what I can only assume is rotting flesh,
No,
Sorry,
that's
that was me.
Rasheen.
I thought that was Marshall. Mr.
think
Marshall.
I
I
thought
think
my
it's-
bouquet was more of a fresh slaughter.
Oh, you're right. It is much sharper.
fresh slaughter perhaps is what
what
it
I'm
could be.
smelling?
It might just be the smell of blood.
There are always
It never
good
goes
ways
away.
to fish the time.
Regardless, that is more the domain of getting drunk, so to speak.
I still am not quite sure why one would do that.
Well, if you don't appreciate what your senses are given to you, it's one way of turning them off.
Are making you appreciate it all the more.
Or one could just plug one's nose.
I have a hard time doing that.
He does have a hard time doing that.
I'm not sure how you would do that exactly.
I tried.
Your nose is.
There's several alchemical formulas you could
Wide.
use to make you
It's very
not
wide, yes.
smell.
You don't have nostrils you could easily
Nope.
pinch.
Not at all. Tell me something. Tell me something. And he gets really close to you and just points at your holy symbol on your chest.
Tink, tink, tink.
What god is that?
Oh, it's Milani. Would you like to hear about her?
Yes.
Oh, I was hoping you. I was afraid you'd say that.
I heard a little bit. A little bit. Bloody Rose. That's about
So,
You're the worst priest
You guys-
ever.
you guys have this journey. This journey that takes you for a long, long time.
Far
Back-
longer than it did to come down.
Please
Far-
don't make me
Far
proselytize.
longer on the way back. Until
montage.
finally, by my count, the 26th of Desnus, the last week of the month, a toil day, your caravan, what's left of it, less than a dozen of the freed slaves, as I said, none of whom have been captured from Kintargo, but would have been travelers, either merchants or visiting family, or even just out for hire abroad, so they're more south than their home in Kintargo itself, would have been picked off by the Triad. You would learn over your journey that anyone who had been captured from the capital proper hadn't yet been sent down to the quarry, and those that you saved in Tennyson Tower in the academy were what they had for the moment of that. But near the end of this month, and by my account, what's 4 months since the discovery of Alseta's ring, near 5 at this point, You arrive back within the walls of the Silver City.
So one other thing that I would have liked to have done is on the way up, as we go, Roshin would have written down these people's stories. So if they're getting ready to peel off, she would write down their names, where they're from, when they got taken. Just a brief write down in her very uncultured handwriting, just so that these people's stories are preserved in some form so that we can actually compile something that we can give.
So you have a list, nearly a ledger.
Yeah.
Of
The
sorts.
moment
Of
Raz
everyone.
notices she's doing that, he just takes the quill from her in the book and starts writing it a much neater. Just trying to.
We literally have Roshin's list.
I love Raz's life cycle. Sees they're doing a thing. I take the thing. Stop.
Well, if that's
He's
the
like a
case,
kid.
while this is going on, Marshall is actually going to attempt something productive and sit down with Resme and discuss what she knows about his relatives, so they can try and put the pieces together of
I'll
what's going on.
Tell him everything I've read of all of the parts of Emberbeard I've heard about, which isn't to say much.
And like, do you have like dwarven lore? or
I could
anything
use
like that?
I could use my lore warfare technically,
I mean,
because
that
I am
would-
part of a
that would
military
kind of be
family.
Fitting. It was a military clan.
I
yeah.
can get Dwarven lore if you give me 2 seconds.
That's true. You can ancestral memories your things.
Yep, so just
That is a total of, or is it lore? There it is. Okay, so that's going to be a total of 23.
Okay, and you give me your with your ancestral memories as you're digging.
I'll do it
through.
as at expert.
Okay. You just got to put it in the tower. The amount of
I
shaking
know.
is actually irrelevant at this point.
That's gonna be a 30?
So
Nope. It's a 28.
I don't know.
28.
Sorry, it's
so
a 28,
28 and
sorry.
a 23 on lore warfare. I mean, obviously it's your family, and being a dwarven clan that is expansive. Dwarven clan hierarchy and family trees is somewhat of an interesting thing because so much emphasis is placed on the clan name, and clans are large enough that it's less of what we think of as a family and almost more of, I don't know, like an entire lineage. Like, the clan is large enough that most dwarven marriages, at least for like conservative traditional dwarves that are living in dwarven cities, is within the clan. Because it is so huge that actual blood relations can be so far as to basically be strangers. And when clans intermarry, it's a big deal because the clan name, like only one clan name passes through. Although this isn't, it's almost always done from a place of good and from a place of happiness. It's not like one clan's like, well, you're banned forever because you don't bear our name anymore. And in fact, full titles of dwarves can become entire paragraph readings themselves. Son of blank, daughter of blank, son
Yeah.
of blank, so on and so forth, of blank and blank clans. So that's a specific person in a clan is somewhat difficult to answer. That said, in the grand scheme of things, Resme, you'd certainly know that the Emberbeard clan is not like one of the major ones. It is not.
Okay.
It is a minor military clan, not nearly as big as those that rule on the council under the Five Kings Mountains or anything like that. But one that is large enough that it's absolutely just spitballing. It could be anyone from a literal direct cousin to Marshall to someone who had married into the clan entirely unrelated that he's possibly never even met. It's big enough to know that you don't know anything, but not big enough for you to know much on specifics.
I'm sorry I can't help you further, Marshall. I really do wish I knew more about your family so I could help you, but I'm afraid there's just so many dwarven families, and yours really isn't one of the major ones. I'd have to do some more specific research.
I understand that. I feel more ashamed that I don't know them very much better, except, well, the fact that, not a lot of them liked me after I had to kill my dad. But,
It would probably put you on the bad list for most of the clan.
Dwarves don't like patricides?
Not usually.
Honestly,
even if it's self-defense, it still counts.
honestly, darling, after what I know about him, I can't really say I blame you. It's all right. Sometimes your clan is found, not made.
I mean, that's why I gave you all daggers, didn't I?
I know, they're lovely, and they've saved our lives more than once.
It's true.
So
This is very true.
There's one last thing to cover as we travel
Okay.
back up to Kintargo, as we left the quarry and moved back to the city.
Is it how many doses of Pesh Vala needs?
Is it why doesn't Trishik have a tiny little lizard that he talks
What
to?
of Eleonora? Resme had shared that ritual from the hag's tome that you had recovered. Presented as an option.
So
Looking deeper into it on our ride back, what can I learn about it?
I'm going to dive into that with her. She's going to have to translate everything because it's written in Infernal.
It is a very involved ritual, and though you have your horses in your carriage, which only has so much space that I imagine would be carrying Eleanor's body, wrapped and reposed as it can be.
I'll repose it every day to keep it up.
And the ritual is detailed. It is intricate, it is complex, and it is incredibly dangerous, is the main thing you'd be able to learn. Rituals are not spells. They are not magic, and they're not direct like blood magic, and as such don't inherently require those participating in them to have any magical aptitude themselves. As rituals are studied, and even on the other side of that, being like a proficient wizard or sorcerer does not make you any better at performing rituals. Rituals individually are each almost such a separate sect of magic. They could be a wizard's entire study as to a ritual, or to a pair of rituals, to their various details, their minutiae, their execution. But at a base level, what the hags were trying to do failed for one very simple reason. The ritual requires 3 people. It's a pretty safe assumption with what you learned of that coven that once they had found the 3rd hag, they weren't exactly into replace themselves by reviving their previous matron. It takes 3 people of competence, of dedication, of understanding, who are willing to open and expose themselves to the dangers of what the ritual may do. It does not so much stop the process of death. Obviously, that's already happened. A soul has already gone back to the boneyard. Nor does it petition to Pharasma for its return. It warps the barrier between planes, reaching through, attempting to almost bend a section of the boneyard to your will, to force a soul back out and into the body it left. This, even the smallest understanding of Pharasman worship or any bit of religious word I'm looking for, devotion, would raise a huge slew of reasons this is questionable. But if it works, you could turn Eleanor's soul back from the boneyard, pull it out before Pharasma's judgment, and put it back in the body. You could.
Hey, Pharasma, what's that over there?
You could bend this distortion the wrong way, giving a demon or a Rakshasa a new host. Her soul could be irreparably destroyed, her afterlife obliterated, as she is shred to pieces, trying to pull her back into her body.
Sheenie, I don't know if we have the right to do this.
This is quite a thing you found here.
I mean, I thought it was something, simple, like get the blessing of the gods, pray, use magic, the spirits of the earth.
You thought cheating death was simple.
Well, it is in all the stories.
Yes, the stories, many of them they don't end too well.
But this is different.
It's a mess is what it is.
I know something about planar nature, and what it's talking about here barely seems possible. And I think it's just as likely to go horrifically wrong as it is to do anything good.
Far more than that. Looking at it over here. This part here. I'm not even sure I could do this. I need to practice.
On top of
This has
all of
far more chance of going horribly wrong than it does of having working.
on top of all of the risks, the knowledge, the understanding of both the Boneyard's connection, of the very flow of souls across planes, of how that all functions, is as important as a complete understanding of the physical form. Every facet, every detail about Eleonora's form and function. And just a soul does not simply sit in a body as water in a pot. You need, among these three people, someone with near perfect understanding of the human body, someone with near perfect understanding of the soul and the transition between planes. And any mistake, any detail misunderstood or misdirected could be catastrophic.
Roisin, I wanted so bad to bring her back, but I don't want to doom her soul lost to all eternity either.
We can't do this right now. We're just not good enough.
What are we going to do? We can't just leave her. I mean, we can't leave her. We can't tell Buddy.
Oh, yes, it'd probably be best not to tell him if we got his family member killed. Unless he asks. Would he ask? He probably wouldn't ask. Maybe I'll avoid him for a bit.
I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel so nauseous.
Well, wait. There's a way we could do it. There's a way we could do it. I can't do it now. But there's ways we can make it easier. Perhaps if we find some place, perhaps we get assistance. Maybe we can find aid.
Like, wait.
My magics
This
can
here-
keep her safe until then.
This here, there's something about a place of resonance, a place of power. Perhaps if we can find some place that resonates with the ritual, and I mean, they make artifacts which can make you better at these things, right?
The gods make artifacts that make it better at these things.
And-
We might get minor magics at best, but
There would certainly be notes, as the hags have been trying to figure out how to work this ritual, and it had been beyond them. There would be scrawlings around the margins in various sections where they've notated and added their own thoughts, their own theories. Since they had come to Dreamgate, to the way station inside Alseta's ring, they had theorized that such a location, almost a divergence between planes unto itself, where the barriers would be weaker, could make the ritual easier. They had theorized that channeling power through their own dream stones, using them to amplify, using their powerful magics to amplify the feats of the ritual could help. There are things that could possibly, theoretically, make it easier, but it'll never be easy.
I don't feel comfortable taking this risk with her soul without at least having a prayer of succeeding. If you can keep her in stasis, perhaps while we hunt the Triad, we could also hunt for her salvation.
I think that's the best bet. We don't dare try it now.
No, but there has to be a way to make it at least a prayer if possible. We can't just give up on her. She followed us into hell. We owe her that at least.
If there's such a thing as ever returning a lost comrade. It's never happened to me before. I think I'd very much like it if we could make it happen.
I agree. Besides, I feel shaky inside. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like an instability. I reach for magic and I can get it. It's tied to my emotions sometimes, you see, but I feel like if I gave up on her, I would lose control of it completely.
Well, best to keep that under control. Wouldn't want some lightning getting out around in an inappropriate manner, but
Sneeze out a fireball, maybe.
yeah, maybe. Be very awkward.
Blow up Havoc and Targo.
Oh no!
Not Kintargo.
Nadal, curse you!
It's all
Damn Umbral Court!
It's all cold iron.
It's all
It's all cold iron.
all cold iron.
Sheeny,
So much more.
So when you do arrive back at Kintargo, you have quite a storied list in either your hand or Raz's, if you would let him write it.
I'm sure I eventually will when she explains why he's trying to take my things.
I write it better. So let me
I
do
write
it.
it better.
Oh, look at you, the trope professor.
Quite a decent log of things. You've got a pack laden with. Is it loot if you killed them? I guess it's loot if you killed them.
Salvage.
Salvage.
we're selling the salvage.
Wait, no. Loot
found.
is if you do it. Salvage is if someone else does it and you come after.
Salvage.
It's found.
We
This
are
is
noble
loot.
heroes.
Heroes get loot.
And you would be back in the Silver City with the last of the very grateful of the freed slaves filtering back to their homes from their journeys that had ended up being much longer than they had hoped. You have Eleonora's body still in the carriage that you have purchased with, at the moment, not much of a better place to put it unless you have an idea.
I wonder what Customs has to say about that one.
Kintargo probably doesn't have customs.
I mean, if they do, it's like, hey, our friend got killed freeing all these slaves we're bringing back. Story checks out.
Perhaps we can ask the Bellflowers for a place to lay her to rest until we can figure out what to do.
I say we just spring for a crypt. There's plenty of them in Cantargo. They're nice enough. She'd appreciate the luxury, I suppose.
Oh, I don't want to put our friend in a crypt.
Like who? And much like Raz kind of
Gnarly.
pokes himself
The
up.
artillery's here.
You can see Nolly
Oh, Nelly. Oh,
Sitting
good
there.
to see ya. Don't.
Raz
Hope it
lights
didn't
up.
startle you.
I remember you. I saw you once. You don't remember me though. Probably not.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Name's Raz. We met once.
Well, pleasure to meet you, Raz. Ash Barktai.
Did you give her a kite, perhaps?
Oh no, I was asking around about this. He just pulls out a Scarlet Triad cipher.
Ah. No, you know what? I do vaguely remember you.
And then I got
You're
caught.
very diligent. Perhaps there's a bunch of common interests with the rest of us, believe it or not.
Seems to be the case.
But the mood here seems dour.
Well, we freed all of the slaves, and we shut down the Triad, but I'm afraid we lost Ella.
But I can tell you one thing. I've known Eleonora a good while. She's done a good bit of work for us. She wasn't a bellflower right and proper. She wasn't a tiller or nothing. Wasn't an operator. But she understood what we went for, and if she chose to follow up with you lads and ladies, heading so far down on a journey to the south to strike out against the Triad themselves and what's, I can only imagine, based on the state of your very poorly kept armor,
Is that
something
quite-
akin to open war.
Something akin to that.
Ella understands the trade.
Would you... There's a It's complicated. Is there some place we could lay her to rest?
She deserves the best. Someplace free of damp. Someplace where we can go and pay our respects.
Of course. We can take her someplace right special. Here. You have anywhere else to be this afternoon?
No.
Then we'll go. And, Nolly, Ash, however you know her as, would lead you from the southern gate of Cantargo out through the areaways, out around the outer walls. You can see that massive, shellish palace in the southern half. It's been surrounded in scaffolding and boards as being completely and totally redone. And she takes you back around to a almost forgotten pocket of the city. Quite far inside, pretty far from the eastern and southern gates, near equidistant behind almost all the buildings. A place that not only the city seems to have really forgotten, but the people as well. As the buildings around are not decrepit, but clearly somewhat ill-maintained. If it was anybody other than Nolly leading you here, this would be certainly a sketchy situation you wouldn't follow a stranger into. But she comes around to a small park, or what was probably once a park. It is now mostly just grass. Stood in its center with still a great tall and gnarled oak tree. Its branches spread to be so wide as to almost covering the entirety of the park. It's about a quarter of a city block unto itself, and draped with hanging mosses all around, shading the entire area. And as you get there, your carriage following on narrow, old, rounded, rough cobbles to get back there, just kind of motions out to the area. None of you are from Cantargo, so I imagine nobody really recognizes this, but here's a place I would appreciate. This, you could say, and even these old buildings around it, near forgotten as they are now, is where the old heroes of Cantargo, some say, started up the whole rebellion. You could say it's the very heart of Ravenel. Not something that makes it into much stories, or that really any but the most diligent of bards be able to tell you these days. But forgotten as it is by the people, it ain't been forgotten by us. It's a place that we've respected. We've kept well enough. And she points down to the grass. Compared to some of the stuff you come through on the way here, although it is long, it is not overgrown. It is not full and infested by weeds. It is to some extent clearly maintained. And it's here that many of those who lost their lives in that old fight for independence that turned into Cantargo, it's where they still rest.
Oh.
There haven't been many times I've had a tiller, so to speak. But if I did, I'd put him here.
I think Eleanor would like that.
Thank you.
Like I said, she understood the trade. What'd you find down at the quarry?
We found about 100 people who'd been enslaved. We freed them, and we fed them and got them back into as good a shape as we could, and we sent them back home.
1 for 100. That's the trade. Standing up to slavers and the like, even when this wasn't Ravenel, it was just Cheliacs. We were operating under the noses of Chelish nobility and Hell Knights. Every one of us knew that at any minute we could be caught. One of our barns could be uncovered. One of our routes could be dug out. And in an instant, all of us would be gone. But whatever we did leading up to that point, however many we helped, however many we got out, east to south to Andrin back in the day, or even north of Rhesia. That's the trade. 1 for 100 is a damn good rate.
Resme will actually bend down and say, Nolly, you have a really beautiful soul. That meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Ella, tell yourself if she could. If you listen hard enough, I bet you can still hear it.
This is perfect. Thank you.
And as we lay Ella here, Roshin is going to anoint her bodies with the embalming oils and a heightened level 5 gentle repose. Will suffuse her body, preserving it for, well, indefinitely.
Well, it's actually just infinity?
Yep.
It's infinity.
It's infinity.
At level 5 gentle repose.
Because this magic takes over her, and if there's any visible change,
It's more of the same. The black marks are still stretching over, but as you're anointed, you do find a piece of paper has fallen out of her pocket.
So pick it up and flip it open.
It's a letter home.
Ah. Middle right in this.
You're gonna read it.
Oh, you got it written up.
I have a letter home. My dear brother Simon, recently I'm writing this on the road coming from Catarga going down south. While I was in Catarga for a couple months since I last wrote you, I ran into my cousin Bew. We ran into cousin Bew of all people there with a group of his friends doing heroic work. They called themselves the heroes of Breachill. Can you believe that? Called themselves heroes right out in public, all like that. They seem like good folk, though. It seemed like you can really trust them. They're fighting a war against a group of slavers I don't really wish to write down on paper. So I decided to follow them south. That's where I'm writing this at, on the road. I can't wait to come home to see y'all folk again. It's been, 8 years? Unfortunately, I have no news of Morgan, but it is what it is. I've been traveling around the world having a good old ball, and I can't wait to tell stories to Lily and Tio. Until then, please give my love to them. And remember, I'm always dreaming of the day that we all can eat dinner together as a family again. Love, your favorite sister, Eleonora, Beatrice, Rosalind, Oleander.
Beautiful. We should have it sent back home. Does anyone know where she actually lives?
I think we'll have to ask Bu.
Perhaps he'd know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not one I can really help with. She just seemed a breezy sort of lass. Went into town one day, found a cause she was interested in, and been doing odd jobs helping us out since then.
Well, she was a little bit more complicated than that, but if nothing else, we'll make sure this gets straight away home.
Garnered a hell of a crowd. I'll give her that.
She was very good at it.
She was lovely.
But speaking of those odds she got, 1 for 100, we could do a bit better. We're getting ready to head home and pack up once we're done. Imagine you might have some passengers you want transported over to Eastern Easker.
If that offer's still on the table, certainly not one I'm going to turn down.
It is most certainly still on the table. It is always on the table.
Be my pleasure.
Always looking for roles detailed that give us easier journeys for those we're trying to help.
Perhaps we should set up a schedule. Perhaps once every couple of weeks, once a month, we come open gate, let them through.
Plenty of barns in Kintargo to hide them until we need.
Indeed. Perhaps we should do it on the night of no moon.
Well, look at you being all fancy.
What?
Poetic and whatnot.
Look, if
Like
nothing...
Eleanor herself speaking right through you.
If nothing else, I've read stories. I know when you do creepy things that you don't want people seen. Trishik has told me you want no light.
Yes, for normal operations, you want no moon. As of late, I found daytime, nighttime, and I'll point at the rune of invisibility. Makes no difference to me. Not anymore.
We can get that all sorted out, but I can leave you here for the time being. But when you're ready, I want to know what you found down at the quarry. I want to know what happened with this triad. All the lives they touched, the 100. I want to know how we can stop this from happening again.
Well, it'll take quite a bit of work on their part to bring it back up again. Let me tell you a story. And
The story can wait.
Sit down and
Story can wait. I've been helping Miss Longroad set up the coffee house, but we got reports that the group of you were coming in a day or so ago. You're not subtle on the road, really. You'd be terrible tillers.
I think we're terrible at almost anything aside from what it is we actually do.
That's a good thing. We do those things as we do and not the things that we're bad at.
Now listen here. I'm an expert at drinking.
I'm expert at teaching.
Those are the things we actually do.
Hence the thing that we do.
And maybe this is just a situation, drinking, teaching, and all sorts of non-tiller activities is exactly what we needed. Take all the time you need. I'll be up at Longroads at the coffee house.
We'll join you.
Meet you there.
We'll join you shortly.
And, shall we meme?
We got a couple of memes while we're in
meme.
Kintargo, too.
There is a big all-hero point here for Resume from Loopy Caster.
Read it out, Squid.
Resume turns around and sitting before her is a man that she is sure wasn't there before. Sitting atop a chair, the older balding man with jet white hair looks up at her and adjusts his glasses. He wears a light brown jacket and patterned gloves which are like across the top of his legs. The old man smiles, reaches one gloved hand into his pocket and lifts out a coin before reaching out and handing it to the young sorceress. Hello, Resume. This is for you. I'm once again asking you to save the world.
Bravo.
An absolute.
That is a masterpiece.
Now, while I do
Beautiful
commend
meme.
it, the best edit of that picture so far is him doing an armbar. Like full-on MMA
Solid
cage, he's
meme
giving an armbar to
and a
somebody.
solid hero point. So, you're left here in
The
this
burn Oh,
in
that's
this
awful.
quiet
Totally
corner
on bumper stickers.
of Kintargo, where Nolly has shown you this moment of respite in a very, very busy city. There's no real prying eyes back here, no one to watch. But as you head to the carriage to do what you need to do, you find that leaning up against a building nearby, there's a couple of clearly out-of-place tools that have been left around, clearly waiting for their moment of need. It seems that Nali had already heard the news, perhaps had already learned. Those who had scouted you on the road and sent word may have already been aware that Eleanor wasn't above your number. But she did what she could. And, what do you guys do?
We're gonna bury the body, I would assume.
So
Just put it down the ground and walk away, I guess.
Drew Shakes just tuck a napkin into his collar.
So,
I don't need this shovel. I have a fork.
actually, what I'm going to do,
I have claws.
because I believe in massive overkill, is I'm going to disintegrate a hole in the ground.
We're gonna use a mining laser to dig a grave.
How are we gonna? What dirt are we gonna use to cover the body?
That doesn't matter. There's
She
a
didn't
grave.
think about that. She disintegrated a hole.
There's a grave now.
With
That's
this
all that
big
matters.
cast and a blast of light from Resme's finger, it blows away a hole in the ground. The dirt deleted from reality, leaving just a crater.
Oh.
Will, help me.
Just do it myself. It's all right.
Oh, just
Right. Help you with what?
putting her in the ground, silly.
There's a tube in the ground now.
Yes.
Just slide her in.
No! No!
Oh, did you just
a
blast
ray.
straight? Did you just blast straight down, or did
The
you
ray,
like?
it just hits, and I imagine it's like a hemisphere of
Yeah,
just not
it's
dirt.
a hemisphere.
Okay. So I guess wrapped up in her cloak, and I guess tie with a sort of line to tie it shut, and with a token of Milani settled on her to hold the spell. Roshin will lay her in the pit.
And having had a few weeks of journey now to come to terms with the thing, perhaps it's just time working its magic, and perhaps it's just Nolly's really good at her job, but this moment of brevity is blasting a hole of laugh among the group. You feel this is more the legacy Eleonora would have wanted to leave behind. Not sadness and mourning, but this last laugh, this odd bit of dark mirth,
I ain't done yet.
this confusion.
Fireball.
This is Eleanor.
She's highly flammable with all that bomb fluid on her.
One of the things that Resme has started doing is she took a piece of her garden, different pieces of herbs, different things that she loved, flowers, a lot of them, and she shrunk them down into her pocket to carry around a token of Breach Hill with her wherever she went. She'll put it in the ground and let it expand, and she will be buried with all of the home that Resme brought with her. The pieces of things that Resme remembers and loves about the places she loves the most to surround her.
Yes. You haven't got any more of those scrollers to make a wall of stone, do you?
I do, in fact.
That's
I have
good,
the
because
spell
you
itself.
blasted all the dirt into non-existence. So
I've got it covered. She actually has the spell as well. So she'll start up casting of a wall of stone, and she will intone out Muram Lapidum, and she'll repeat it over and over again to almost craft it into like part stone, but it will sort of bend over on itself and create its own shade.
So, left with this bit of breach hill, this bit of home, this curved rock marker. Valia this whole time stands back nearer the wagon, not interjecting at all. As saying she had no idea how long you'd known Eleonora, clearly, because when she met the party, you had her, but not interfering, not feeling she had anything to really add at the moment. Just back by the carriage, watching from a respectful distance quietly.
We'll come back if we can, when we can. But for now, lay at rest. And know that you're loved.
And we meet again.
In this world or the next. I suppose we should go wait for the next horrible thing to go wrong, as it undoubtedly will.
Oh, on the contrary, my dear. We're going to cause the next horrible thing to go wrong ourselves.
No, no, no.
I would like to investigate Counselor of Breachill.
Fair enough. But we owe Nally we owe Ash a drink back at the tavern.
We
Now
do.
that's what I'm talking. And he just starts walking to the tavern.
Poor Marshall doesn't realize it's a coffee house.
Before we
no.
go, I would also like to
coffee
visit
house.
Lady Gora's school.
You lot seem to have contacts near everywhere you go. Now you have this... what? Halfling bellflower leader?
Yes.
She's quite possibly the most capable operative I've ever seen.
I'm
No,
kind of
I've-
attracted to her.
While I was here in Kintargo trying to learn what I could of what the Triad were up to, the name Nolly is spoken of with equal parts respect and fear. She's like a...
Would she
I
have the
honestly
hoe
didn't
with
think...
her?
She would. She always has the hoe with her.
That's a silly
She's
question.
sleep. What a dumb
You
question.
always have your
Dude.
claws with you?
Would you not bring the artillery?
It's in her picture.
Yeah.
She's always has a hoe over her shoulder, and she always
a
has a
cup of
hot cup of
coffee.
coffee in her hands.
Valia shakes her head. I honestly wasn't even positive she was an actual person so much as an urban legend. It's sort of weird to put a face behind it, and well, that one of all of them. Nothing against her, of course. No slight intended, but she...
I wouldn't have believed it myself hadn't I not seen her bring an ice devil down out of the sky with that hoe of hers.
She has.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
She brought an ice devil down with a hoe?
She has more firepower in that hoe, throwing stones, than my bow.
She could
Where's
knock,
she at?
If she wanted to, she could knock the roofs off the towers of the Silver Councils in the tower.
I want to hear that story. Where's she at?
Oh, we can all drink together and tell the stories.
The Long Road's coffee house, as I heard.
Yes, let's go. Let's have a drink
Where-
to toast.
Is that exactly?
Oh, we'll take you there.
A group of you could make your way up.
Resme will immediately start heading off in the wrong direction before one of you turn
Oh, she
around.
across the Great Bridge to the northern end of town, not like on the block on the outskirts of the campus, where you would first truly start to strike down the Triad leadership. You would head in to find a coffee house that has largely been cleaned up. You've been gone for a month.
They've had a lot of time.
Things are back in working order. By this point in the mid-afternoon, the coffee house's doors are open, sweet aromas rolling out, and plenty of patrons once more coming and going. They've got brand new doors put up, and some of their furniture looking even more scattered than it was before, as they've had to buy random bits of chairs and tables to replace it. But it almost just adds to the whole environment they have in there of just warmth and casual mirth. It's a pretty good place, all things considered. And as you head inside, you would be able to pretty quickly locate Miss Larry Longroad, the halfling you'd originally met up at the top of the tower, who was halfway through escaping already when you found her. Back behind the area, dealing things, running the bar with a couple more employees, some more faces you would almost all the faces you would recognize as various people from within the tower, who would all, of course, recognize you as well. And Nolly, seemingly just popping out of almost nowhere as you make your way through the coffee house. That was quick. I jest.
Magical expeditation of Tiesk.
I believe you all owe us a drink.
I believe we owe you as many drinks as you want to have. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure if you tried to put a single piece of copper on Miss Longroad's counter there, she'd kick you out herself.
We'd be honored.
Wait, we get the drink for free?
It's tea and coffee, darling. Don't get too excited.
Teas, coffee, some light meads.
Oh, there we go.
Don't say light and mead in the same word around him.
It's like White Claw levels of alcohol content.
As he takes a sip, we're like,
It's just beer flavored water.
As she gets some things and motions the group you to follow with her, walking down along the counter towards the doorway that leads into the back where the ladder heads up to the second level. She reaches out as a plate of nice, warm, steaming chocolate biscuits come out and just grabs it right off and takes it with her as she comes to the door.
Now we're talking.
Not bothering to go up the ladder, but taking you into that back area. And placing it down on a crate, taking one and taking a big old bite out of it.
Immediately take one.
No, help yourselves, please.
Oh, yes, I love chocolate.
So,
Marshall's never had chocolate, so he's intrigued.
I'll give a piece to Severin.
the group of you have done some, dare I say it, inconceivable work. Something the heroes of Cantargo themselves would be proud of. You may not have freed an entire country from the yoke of an oppressive, childish regime, but, well, you might as well have to a fair 100 people. And more than that if the Triad to continue to do what they do. So, tell me then, this Vayris it was you were looking out for.
That's her.
She done?
She is.
Beheaded and all.
We don't have to go quite that far.
Well,
I had my blood up at the time.
Oh, my gods.
well, she just killed our friend.
You'll never be tellers. You're just like the heroes of Cantargo, solving every problem with beheading.
Well, not every problem, just certain
What
problems.
if I
We
got your
solve an
accent?
awful lot of problems with beheadings.
Yeah, well, if I got your accent placed right, it's just the Galton way, no?
Oh, very good. I hadn't. That's true. That's true. Oh dear, it's in my blood.
And in theirs now.
Oh,
It's true.
that's a good pun.
And she puts her hoe and kind of leans it against the wall and grabs what looks like a knapsack, just a pretty plain looking backpack with a big pouch on the front and a big flap buckled over the top. Undoes the buckle and opens it back up. Now look, the lot of you may be completely worthless as tellers, but you know what? I've never seen such potential. The offer's still on the table for the group of you. If any of you ever want to learn, if any of you are willing to stick around Cantargo, if you got nothing else going on in your lives, I'd be glad to have you. But if not, and she opens up the bag and reaches in. Found a couple of things we've been scrounging up that I figure make fair trade for a magical portal helping us to move through the rows. I got some things for you. Dug around. So a couple of trinkets we've been using throughout the years that maybe fallen out of use. You know, maybe not just so useful in modern times. Something maybe you get better use out of. And she pulls out a squash. It just looks like a squash. It's a big, yellow, fat-bottomed, kind of bell-shaped squash with some, like, greener ridges running up it and a big old stem on the top. There you go, Rasheen. And she tosses you the squash.
Oh,
Seems
how
like to be
lovely.
useful any day of the year. I mean, as useful as it is any other day of the year.
Rasheen, you're very good at getting your gourd up.
Now, as you catch it, the gourd is dried. It's hard and funks into your hands as you catch it with a hollow sound. As you kind of look at it and turn it over, you see that it has a little hole, almost a half circle with a flat bottom, cut near the base of it.
I put my finger in it.
Home.
Immediately.
Make a fortitude save.
Just kind of look into it, like just bat out, like
When
look
you
inside
at
it.
the inside of it looks like a gourd. You can see the inside of a dried gourd in the
That's my
candlelight
finger.
of this back room here.
That's
you
my
can see
finger.
Resme's finger. She's sticking it in the
Stop.
gourd hole.
Get back.
Will you?
I want to know what's inside.
There's nothing inside. Use your eyes. There's nothing inside it.
Nothing inside it yet.
Oh,
Well, you put something in it then.
It'll put something in itself. You've come all the way here to help us from Galt. That's the whole width of Avestan you've made your journey, portals notwithstanding. But you strike me as a bit of a traveling sword, Roshin. Seems like you could use a home.
The guard.
It gets bigger.
I put my nose in it.
His story
It's like that one
Lady
spell.
in
There's a
Boot.
spell. There's a spell. There's a spell. There's a spell. It's called Cozy Cabin. It happens in the Cozy Cabin. Go to cabin.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend that I know any kind of magic, so I suppose sounds right enough to me.
She'll try like twisting the stem or
Give it to
pushing
me.
on it
Stop.
or.
Stop.
No, not here.
I'll fit.
But
Oh, it gets very big.
it's very big. If you have the space for it, you take that gourd and you place it on a bit of open ground. Make sure you got some space. At least a few dozen yards around you, hopefully.
So
Dozen yards. That's massive.
it's like a house, but like me also.
Oh, it's a gourd.
Not really positive what exactly a dried gourd's got in common with you. Is it a... Just kind of raps on her head with her knuckles.
No, you just said it gets really big if you use it.
Oh, you mean the stem doesn't grow with it?
Well, it doesn't, no. But
Then it does have a lot in common with you.
place that on the ground. Give the stem a nice
Marshall
ring.
grabs his beer and just walks out.
Don't worry, you're not gonna break
grumbling.
it. You're not gonna break it. But stand back and give it some space. It'll take it a miraculous short amount of time to find yourself a nice, cozy hut.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's
Thank you so much.
wonderful.
Well lit. Beds and couches aplenty. You could fit more than twice your group in there easy. Plenty of room for comfort.
Perhaps like a makeup place, like a place where I can like finally do my hair and things.
Well, just out of curiosity,
If you bring your own mirrors and sinks, maybe.
well, so
Oh.
could we actually furnish it with our own things and it'd stay in there?
You know, I've never tried. This sort of home's only come up in the really the most dire of circumstances, so we took what we got. But it's got beds, it's got sheets, it's warm, and it hides real well. You can reach the stem from the inside.
What a kind offer. Thank you so much.
Twist it back, it'll shrink back down, look nothing more like a squash sitting on the ground. The rest
stem-
of you all still comfy and cozy inside.
Wait, I have to twist the stem again to pin her down?
Put it down, you twist it, it gets real big. You go inside, you'll find the stem right in the center.
Aye, turn it. I guess I better leave it. I should leave right quick then. Once
No.
I turn that one.
You can stay inside it. That's the magic of the gourd. The space inside never changes.
Oh no, that is fascinating.
It's like this sack, actually, as she reaches back into her backpack and pulls out
Speaking of sex.
Magic sack.
another crate, another box that's nearly the size of the bag itself that she kind of wrestles with to get out. But it's a pretty big wooden box, thick, the wood itself gnarled, marred with whorls. Its lid sitting almost kind of loosely in here, but she pulls it out. She's pretty careful to keep it upright. And now we've had enough of a good joke at your expense, Marshall. Here, this is for you. Dwarven, make a think.
I take a good look at it and
On the top of it, it would actually have, in a pretty thick dwarven script, a large rune that roughly, the language isn't complete one-to-one, roughly translates to see or sight, and then below it, understand the tunnels in which we live.
oh, it's a GPS.
Now keep it upright. If you dump it all over the floor, I don't know if it works anymore, but you can open it up. And opening it up, it is filled with sand. Magic sand.
I've heard about this, but I don't know what it is exactly.
It's magic sand in a box. That's some kind of dwarven enchantments on it. You hold it shut. You just gotta, to my understanding, they say there's a motion to it, but I've always just thought really hard and it's kind of worked.
Litter box?
Well, I suppose you could use it as such. Sand is sand, after all. It'd be a terrible waste of good magic sand, though. But works maybe not so well in here. Again, dwarven, underground, and hiding in some tunnels, some caverns. Focus on it for a minute or so. Think about it real hard. Open it back up. The sand, we're making its own castles and passages, showing you all the layouts of the tunnels and caverns around you.
So, oh, my grandpappy told me about this.
It's like a map.
He used it like a magic map or something, but it's made of sound.
Pretty much, more or less.
It's a three-dimensional map.
You are adorable.
It'll give you an actual visible topographical carving of all the caverns around where you're standing. And it reaches a
He's
decent distance.
legitimately like twitching, and like the grin just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
You know how many taverns I can look out for this? I know where all the good stuff is.
Yes, I suppose Robin Sellers is one possible application.
I have to say, I've warmed up to him so much.
I'm starting to wonder if I'm making a terrible mistake giving you guys all these things, but, already halfway there, so in for a penny, in for a pound.
Don't worry, we only pretend to be criminals.
Well, don't worry, this one's only exponentially more questionable than the previous ones. And pulls out another thing, a pretty...
Map Etch-a-Sketch.
big... It is pretty much a map Etch-a-Sketch, yeah.
That's genius.
A pretty hefty, long, like full-bodied, but very rough, shoddy, almost lumpy gray cloak. It looks
that
like
away from
crap. And
Put that near my skin and I'll
it's got a very simple brass clasp that brings the shoulders together, and a big thick hood. And she pulls it, trying to get the whole thing up. It's clearly sized for someone significantly larger than her. Now, you're seeing the problem with this one.
It needs to go to the laundress?
Most of the bellflowers and most of the tillers are halflings, and this is far too big. It's given to us in good faith, but I think it'd be a little bit better used by you.
I'll
Hands it over to
take
Sheik.
it and it's very nice, but what is it?
Well, put it on. That one explains itself.
It smells odd.
Do I have to take off my cloak?
You would have to take your cloak off, yes.
Then I will pop off my cloak real quick and put on this big gray one.
And as you put on this big gray cloak and put the hood up, all of you would see his lizard scale claws kind of fade, changing to much more standard, plain-looking human hands. The color of his drake scale pimp jacket would fade to a deep, almost just dull brown. And the feature of his face, his snout almost receding, would just disappear. To even looking directly at him, a completely unremarkable, nearly indistinguishable, just generic human face. Looking at him and looking away, it's impossible to even remember what he looks like. He is so unimaginably plain.
Why do you keep turning it into things?
It takes Yoruxi and makes him a boring human. It's a cloak of boring humankind.
Well, that's pretty accurate, actually. That's more or less what it does.
Oh.
Cloak of boring humankind.
So much trouble with that.
Utterly
Actually, in
unmemorable.
character stroking an imaginary speech.
I have a little crappy goatee there that you can actually stroke. Utterly unremarkable, utterly unmemorable. And if you focus on it, if you need it to call a little bit further, while it's on, it can cover your tracks for you pretty well. I could look at you right now, look at the ground, and I couldn't draw half a spitting image of your face because even staring at you, it's so featureless and boring, so bland and plain. Right, trying to give a description to a guard. Am I making a mistake in giving him this?
Yes. But it's a good one.
It's not a mistake that you will have to suffer the consequences of.
But I do
That's
miss
fair
this.
enough.
I do miss the sexy lizard though.
The magic inside it's even further. It can make you so boring, so utterly forgettable. People will entirely forget they even met you.
It's the cloak of John Smith.
Wouldn't it be John Doe?
It'd be John Doe.
You're not
John Doe.
dead.
Yeah, John Doe, you gotta be dead to be John Doe.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of John Does.
It's not him that's John Doe. It's all the bodies behind John Doe.
I don't mean to interrupt or be rude, but I do believe I received a hero point.
You did receive a hero point for destroying Marshall's entire life.
Oh.
Was it worth it? What did it cost you?
Everything.
From handsome Ganker.
I
What
love
did you gain? A hero
a
point.
hero
Hero
point.
point.
Thank you, handsome Ganker.
Just remember, Marshall loves you
I love
much.
I love him too.
Just like a little
yeah,
sister.
focus up on that
apparently is how
magic.
She loves you back.
Think real hard about the people you want to forget you. Someone you could literally be in the middle of a conversation with, talking directly to their face. Magic will
I'm going
wipe
to
you.
start doing that right now.
Magic will absolutely wipe them from your mind. And then she turns back into the bag and goes around, reach inside.
What do you have in there?
What? This is a bit of a gaff, actually. I think I'm in a bit of a... He used it, didn't he? Did I already give him the mantle? That's the mantle. That's Trishik? That's Trishik. That has to be Trishik.
I'm fairly certain.
It appears to work very well.
The speakers have turned the claws up here. She shakes her head. I mean, this is confusing as physically possible.
The coldest blood runs.
That's really the one that I gave you. I gave that to you. I don't remember a lick of it.
Very interesting. I will make good use of this. I thank you.
That is a lie.
He will make
will
the
be good
best
use.
use of it.
Well, the bag is empty, so fair enough, I suppose. And flips the top back over, grabs the strap, holds it up. There you go, Resme.
Oh, can I put myself in this?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, what can we give you?
What can you give me? You freed 100 good people of Ravenel
Well,
from a Scarlet Triad right under their noses, took them out of commission, and saved hundreds more. That's
We did do all those things.
thousands for one.
well,
Now, that's the best trade I've ever heard.
we're also, well, we'd love to take you to the other gate to show you where it is. You all should come with us so you can see where it is.
Well, yeah, I got nothing better going on. I think the Silver Council is going to be a little remiss if you leave without talking to them, though.
I
Oh,
They're
suppose.
now they want to start talking to us.
About a week ago, they turned up some report about some pirate attack on Cypress Point. And we're talking to some people about the heroes that had saved them.
Oh, that
I got a
story
right mind to
finally
think
made
that's
it.
probably you.
Oh yeah, that would be us. Yes, that's quite true.
I'm going to need to change.
We did.
We sent criers out, a petition around to the town, trying to find the heroes of Cypress Point. We like calling people heroes.
We're not the heroes of, we're the heroes of Breach Hill.
They're the
So
heroes of
actually-
Breach Hill, yeah.
We'll have
Point
to
of
tell
order,
them
we
that, I
actually are
suppose.
technically the heroes of Cypress Point. We are the heroes of Breach Hill, but we are also we were the heroes of Cypress Point that particular day.
Look at that bag, though.
Lowercase heroes. Okay.
That's fine.
I look in the bag.
That one's mine. And it's going to be a huge pain in the ass to replace it, but, you know, I travel pretty light. I don't really need it anymore. I stick around Cantargo mostly. I don't know if I'm settling down or rooting or... I don't know. Might be part gnome and bleaching, maybe. But I think I've had a good run with it. That little knapsack there's got a whole bunch of uses. As you pull it up, you can see that it has several different kind of portioned out sections. The back of which, lined with blue satin, as you reach into, seems to open up into near infinity. Much, much larger than the bag of holding that you have now. Just the blue satin part of that backpack is a Type 2 bag of holding. And it is a full-size backpack, so it's got a pretty big entrance.
Nice.
Well then.
Now let me show you a trick.
Oh, I like tricks. Does it turn into a dress?
Well, no, but it might turn into biscuits if you're proficient enough. As he points to the little tray of the chocolate biscuits.
I'm ready.
All right, let me give you a brief little recipe here. So,
All right.
reach into the pouch in front of that. With a plain one, under the big flap, no lining.
I reach in.
You're gonna need a cake tin. And you feel metal in your hand.
Oh,
And you
okay.
pull out a cake tin. All right, put that down.
Okay.
Gonna need a good mixing bowl to work with. You reach in there and you, again, feel metal and pull out a...
It's a full campsite in a backpack.
not so much a full campsite, but, well,
That's pretty cool.
it was mine, I said. The laws before me. I mean, if halflings are one thing, we're big snackers. Cookware, it can do.
I think of a makeup case, like something with some blush in it, and I see if I can reach in and pull it out.
You reach in, and just an empty pouch with nothing in it.
Oh, well.
It's just infinite.
What are you trying to reach for?
I was hoping I could pull makeup out, but I suppose cookware's nice too.
I think you have to put it in first before you can pull it back
I
out.
thought it was
I
just...
wouldn't recommend putting anything in that front pouch. I'm not really sure what's going to happen to it.
Okay.
I'm almost positive that's where my damn barrette went a decade ago. Put it in the wrong pouch, never saw it again.
What's in the front pouch?
Oh, the front pouch? Well, she just undoes the front pouch and reaches in and pulls out a little fruit tart wrapped in paper. And just food.
Oh, I thought you were going to put it out like a cat or something.
Well, now, wait a minute. That fruit tart looks actually quite good.
Can I
It's
have
delicious, actually.
Is there
Reach
another
in.
one in there?
You can have your more. There's plenty.
Start
Well-
handing around fruit tarts.
Oh, this bag is amazing!
I like
And
this
you
bag.
pull out one, hand it to Raz, pull one out, hand it to Roisin, pull another one out, hand it to Marshall, and then reach in and it's empty. Well, as long as plenty is 4. But here, you can try mine.
Oh, well, here, I'll share mine.
Is she?
You don't have to stock the thing either. That's just pure bag magic.
You want some of mine, boss?
No, thank you.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, we have. You can have something else
Now, hold
aside
on, hold
from
on.
delicious stew.
It's very tasty bag magic.
Roisin, you
I
look.
do like my stew.
He kind of ate his in about a second, but you look like a particularly hearty sort. She reaches around the area and just into a big thing of silverware and cutlery and pulls up a fork. Like, what am I doing this for? Puts the fork down, reaches over to Resme, reaches in the front pouch and pulls out a much bigger fork. Like a 2-pronged, like a grilling prong. and says, "Here, put your hand on this table.
Don't do it.
Just trust me. What am I going to do? Stab you?"
Yes.
That's the thought, but there's fair enough.
Stabs you.
Are you serious?
Eat the tarts! Eat the tarts, Rasheen!
You're lucky I dropped Blood Vendetta.
I told you she was going to stab
Tarts.
you.
Furiously eat the tarts.
Furiously eating tarts. She stabs you for just, I don't know, a point or two of lethal damage, and you heal for 17.
Ooh.
And
Interesting.
immediately, the bleeding wound where she jammed this poker into you covers over instantly. Perfect, well, blood smeared, but otherwise perfect skin. The pain instantly receding.
You couldn't have just told me that.
Just as fun.
Okay. It's not as fun.
For me?
I did.
Is it not?
It was a little funny.
It was very fun.
It was
Learning
hilarious.
experience.
weren't
The best learning experience. The best learning
I am
experience.
going to stab one of you with a fork, and we'll see who's laughing.
He just puts his hand out.
Don't worry, I'll give you a nice little
Well,
tart
the tar-
afterwards.
I'm not gonna stab any more of you. It's just a gaff. Look, magic food comes from the front of the sack. It's not just magically created food. It'll show up every morning, right about breakfast time when you're the hungriest. But if you need it in a pinch, I figure you lot seem like you're getting a lot of trouble.
You're so right.
Those tarts can certainly help you out.
What?
And you got plenty of pots and pans for cooking. But I will warn you, whatever you prepare with them, it can give you ingredients even for simple food, flour and milk and eggs and whatnot. You can make cakes with it. That's what I've frequently done. Whatever you don't eat right then and there, it's going to disappear with the cutlery in a couple of hours. Just sort of fades out, really. Kind of odd. But you can always get more.
It's okay. With Marshall around, nothing's ever going to fade anywhere.
That's true, actually. He sort of, takes care of all your leftovers with no problem.
Severin will start to fly into the bag, and Resme will have to bodily keep him from upending in it, trying to figure out where all the food went.
And the front pouch would at this point just be empty. Every time you would have reached in, you would have found one tart in your hand. That's like the cookware, which honestly the front pouch isn't large. It's most of the size of the pouch. 4 of them would probably not even really fit in there without danger of smushing. But you've got yourself a pretty spectacular little knapsack.
Well, I guess we should go talk to the Silver Council, at least briefly.
Well, I think perhaps I'd like to actually wash the road dust off myself before I go and do that. Imagine they're supposed to be fairly important people.
I have a new dress.
Maybe you look more impressive this way. You can show them all the blood and grime of the battles you had. You can even play this up on the back of your hand. Looks like you've really been into something. Not just stabbed by a tiny halfling in a back cabinet.
Maybe play it off as a bite of a ferocious beast.
There you go. You can play it up as werewolves. The Scarlet Triad. A bunch of werewolves descending on the good people of Ravenel.
I think perhaps saying that I've been bitten by a werewolf might not be the best way to get me the great amount of
I
treatment.
mean,
I think it'd be pretty entertaining.
we did
I'm
fight
very
the gnoll.
I'm putting on a skin-tight velvet dress. I'll be right back.
If you
Skin-tight
ever-
velvet- What? Why would you do such a...
Because I have some convincing to do.
and where are
Feel free to change upstairs.
Fair enough.
Senor Squid. I don't know if you saw it on there, but
Huh?
To cool the burn.
to cool the burn,
Was there
apparently.
another one? Did I
There
miss one?
was.
Oh, there is. Marshall, have some ice to cool the burn from Jayazo. I did miss that one.
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it.
I'm terrible
I'm gonna
giving up
need
on
it.
hero points today.
If
There
you
you go,
ever
buddy.
do happen to be bitten by werewolf, I happen to have a cure.
Silver arrows.
No, it's poison. But
Get
if you do not die, you
Out
live.
of the coffee house with your poisons. What are you doing bringing that in here?
I don't have it on me.
A respectable establishment selling good teas and coffees and biscuits to folk and nothing else. Now, Shoo, get out of here. Go talk to your Silver Councils. I'm not coming for that. I'm not
Respectable
on
establishment.
fantastic terms with the Silver Council. So, best of luck, everybody.
Resme
Walk
comes,
away with fat pockets and high spirits.
Resme comes down wearing this dark blue velvet gown that cuts about right here with this gorgeous silver necklace. Her hair is all braided back.
You don't have the
with
big
beautiful-
silver or the big sapphire.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing it as a necklace.
The egg.
Oh,
And she is decked out in all of her finery. You don't know how she did her makeup so quickly?
She's skilled.
It's a very trained skill, yes.
It's a very proficient skill.
could use your magic to clean most of the dust off me. I guess I'll just keep it like this. By the way, on the way down, could we have asked Trushik to please have fixed the rents and tears in my armor and hopefully my
Yeah,
shield?
probably, but like he can't really do it while walking, and you have a carriage, which is currently transporting Eleanor's corpse.
Good point.
So
One of us will fix it.
that's what I mean.
I
Your
was about to
stuff
say, I
would be
could
like
fix it too.
mechanically at full health, but would look like crap. Like
Yeah.
it's still binged up and with holes in it, but it would be. He could definitely get it to full health while you were traveling.
Okay.
I'll
It
make
would
sure
not
you're
be
clean
difficult.
and tidy.
As soon as you start casting Prestidigitation, Raz starts casting it as well.
I'm helping.
Oh, spectacular, Professor. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
Severin
A
is
student must
also
be
wearing a little
presentable.
cape.
And so,
Very
Little
good.
falconer.
Yep.
with your gifts
It's tailored.
received, the group of you finally moving to Castle Kintargo, back across the bridge to the southern half of the city as the
Shitty.
as the day winds toward its end, and sunset looms maybe an hour or two out. You make your way up, and with this news of Cypress Point having finally reached the ears of the council members, you would be able to speak with a page to clerics and actually find yourselves in the grand chambers of the Silver Council. The center of this castle, what's an area near a courtyard, a massive 100-foot across circular chamber with rings for seats of minor nobles and senators in times of grand votes in parliament. But at the moment, now sat only by the prime members of the council themselves, at a table risen above ahead of you, almost like walking into a gladiatorial arena with the emperor and his aides up above you. The Silver Council looks down upon the checkered floor as you walk in, aided and introduced by a page as the heroes of Cypress Point.
Breach Hill.
You would correct them to the heroes of Breach Hill. But the heroes of Cypress Point was why you were here. They're interested to hear your tales of what has happened in Cypress Point. And what all would you share with them?
Slavery's canceled.
Slavery's canceled.
Certainly that, I just kind of keeping it in general narrative.
Nothing about Alseta's ring.
I mean, Roshin would say that we ran afoul of a group of slavers that attempted to kidnap people. We identified them as the Scarlet Triad, traced them back here to Ravenel. We're traveling through Cypress Point when we saw they were under siege by pirates, intervened, saved the town, learned that they were the very same slavers, followed them to Kintargo, found their operation here again, and drove them out.
So, if I understand correctly, you mean to tell me these slavers have been operating within the walls of Kintargo herself?
Yes, sir.
For some time, Your Excellency. For some time. For a short time, apparently, though. We have evidence and notes once we tracked down their true leader in the country.
You should,
May we see these notes, please?
of course.
Of course, we've established. We figured you might want them. And I suppose we have the notes from Vayris's thing detailing the details
You
of
have
operations.
some information. Most of the details about what they were doing in Kintargo, the specifics, is actually Brzak Overachman's notes, because he was the one who was conjuring up most of these things and knew the specifics. And Vayris was just like, sounds cool, do that. So you could certainly hand over Brzak's journal. And
We would not be handing them any of the entries from the quarry because that contains.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brzak has no mention of Alseta's ring, no mention of like real triad hierarchy outside of Vayris, and very brief mentions of Embermead. But would you turn over Brzak's notes to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
As
Absolutely.
the page would take them, and you would wait in silence for moments more as he ascended the almost comical stairs here alone, silently, nothing but his footfalls as he made his way up to the council above, and placed them down on the table before the head of the Silver Council as he would look over them and share a few pages with his compatriots. Adjusting his monocle as he looks.
We should perhaps make clear that although rumors to the contrary, Nadal had nothing to do with any of it.
That much I can clearly see. So this Ilverashma, a wizard of sorts, had been conspiring to cover their motions by blaming Nadal. This is
good news, if somewhat ill-timed.
Oh, you haven't gone and declared war on them, have you?
Certainly not. And we're not here to discuss the state of our international policy or our talks with our neighbors to the north.
Rude of
However,
me to pry, I apologize.
this information is of critical value to the Silver City and her people, and as too is the service that you seem to have rendered for the greater nation of Ravenel. For all of this in recognition of your deeds, and notably you, unless you guys like really tried to get Raz in, Raz is, are you bringing in Raz with you? Like, yeah, he was part of a group, he did this.
I mean,
I don't see why.
They wouldn't really question it. They don't know who they're
Yeah,
looking for.
I mean, we're bringing the rat along.
Fair enough, the
Bring
rat
the
is here.
rat.
I
From
don't see why.
like, I don't know, like, it wasn't advertised that it's like, hey, we want to go and reward you. I guess it kind of
We're
was.
bringing the
From-
rat
We
along.
were
Yeah.
told we have a visit with the council.
from the
Yeah.
coffers of the city of Kintargo herself, the stipend of 200 gold pieces a head, for services rendered, and for your heroism and acts of valor in the town of Cypress Point to the north. Page, if you will deliver from the treasury. I thank you for this notation and, again, your services. I believe our business here is concluded.
Perhaps a minor noble title.
I'm sorry, I believe...
Shameless request.
You bought it just for that moment.
Give me a diplomacy check.
She's doing it, folks. She's doing it.
Oh my god.
This is my moment.
You have the hero point.
Oh, I don't need it, baby. That's a 19. That's going to be a 19 plus 22.
A noble title.
30. That's going to be a 41. And the difficulty and the DC is reduced by 2.
Literally in front of a council that just said you're dismissed. You're like, oh, but.
Can I be a noble? What is the current state of Cypress Point? It's a fishing hamlet, correct? Well, as you are the saviors of them, I see no harm in delineating unto you a minor title, a minor barony, to include Cypress Point, lands therein for a mile around, and up to including the coastlines and trading waters nearby.
I think you just got ownership of the gate.
Shh, I know. That was the point. Thank you.
Very well. We'll have the paperwork filed, delivered, and certified, and the proper accoutrements of the title should be delivered to Cypress Point itself within the coming months.
Shameless request is a hell of a drug.
Oh my god.
Well, when you roll a 19 on the die, yeah.
So, as you make your way out from the Silver Council into your new barony of Cypress Point,
Yeah, you are the hero of the side.
Roshin is just completely shell-shocked.
like, how did that work?
And Marshall's done some very dumb things, and
Wait. I'm in the presence of the lady.
wins.
But what if second reward?
I believe 200 gold pieces a head, 1,000 gold across the table. A title as the, I guess it would be Countess, not Baroness, because it's one city. The Countess of
I'm practicing the wave.
Cypress Point. Papers to be properly signed, sealed, and certified within the coming weeks and months, giving you proper ownership of Dreamgate's back in. You now own both sides of Dreamgate, because Citadel Altarian is yours as well. The first portal, wholly owned by the heroes of Breach Hill. You've got some things, I believe, to return to the good people of Cypress Point
We
as
do,
well.
We
because
got-
we are not horrible thieves.
And when we return
That bag's definitely not full of rocks.
next week,
I haven't touched it.
when we return next week, we step back through the portal to Breach Hill once more. Our home we have left for some months. Continue our adventures with Jewelgate. Thanks for coming, everybody.
I'm getting me a tiara.
Thanks for hanging out. Today, we end the third chapter of the Age of Ashes campaign. Woo! Ending Tomorrow Must Burn. Next
Did not burn.
week,
Today, which is on fire.
We start up. Close. Fires of the Haunted City.
Oh, okay.
I prefer today's on fire.
Hopefully, the dice trays are working up okay. I think it's pretty good. I think this new overlay is coming together pretty well.
Slowly but surely.
It's thanks to all of you hanging out, watching our show, supporting us just by being here, or those of you going above and beyond, helping us out with Patreon, that are letting us add. We're up to 5 cameras in our setup now. We didn't actually, table cam didn't get toggled on at all today, but like we're up to 5 cameras in our total setup. We couldn't do it without you.
Bye.
Yeah.
We love you guys
We'll
so
see y'all
much.
next week.
Thank you so much.
Everybody. Good night.